Part 81. Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 804. In order to prevent accidents from happening, caution must be taken. I definitely don't want some pretty, cute Indomitable to join the guards. That character is just too troublesome and intolerable. The main reason is to maintain the majesty of the garrison and not allow failure. It is obvious that Bumblebee is completely useless. My training level is not very high and I don't like training. I hang out with my good friend Northampton every day, playing cards, chess, and chatting. Since the weather is getting hotter, I have been wearing a swimsuit every afternoon recently, holding an inflatable B-25 while soaking on the beach, and playing with little Lolita with a water gun. Shinano is purely new and not worth mentioning. Just controlling Tianhe and making a tumbling action in the sky makes me so happy that I can't sleep. She especially likes to hide in the room, imitating Akaga's bow and arrow movements, and imitating Akaga's speech. Then someone discovered me, and I hid in my room all afternoon, afraid to see anyone. However, at night, I was still being teased. I must say, she looks really cute in a Japanese-made outfit. As the mascot of a Kaohsiung noodle restaurant, teasing is allowed, but slapping is prohibited. Ark Royal didn't like training, preferring to read books. As a British ship, she often fed Bismarck's black cat Oscar. Zeppelin is the destroyer teacher, so it would be inappropriate to disturb her from telling everyone stories. York City and CV-May 16th become very powerful in the future, but for now they are just fledgling, little shrimps in the world. Well, this is still too derogatory, and there are still some people who have taken over. Dumpling Essex's training is sufficient, as is Kaga, and so is Shokakuzi Wikaku. It's a pity that they were not transformed during the game, and they have not grown like Akaga now. So much so that although the ship's equipment parameters are already excellent, they are still a little bit behind. And there are no skills, just a blank slate. Then again, it's no longer a game, and there's no such thing as skills. It should be said that they don't have anything they're particularly good at. Even though it has been modified, the Raider's ship equipment parameters are really pitiful. He is good at controlling torpedo planes and bombers. It is more than enough to use B-25 and a -2 as bombers. However, he is a little bit behind in controlling fighter jets to gain air supremacy. It's better to be a bunny girl and entertain her, and hit your head with your little fist every day to show off your cuteness, which will be more effective. Shuttle bombing is very useful in team battles, but less useful at other times. Moreover, Dai Feng's carrying capacity is really not high, and she is still a girl in distress. Akaga is good at surprise attacks. He serves as the flagship and successfully detects the enemy. When the enemy is discovered first, a surprise effect can effectively increase the opening and reduce unnecessary losses of carrier-based aircraft. But there is no way to control the air. It's not because I like it so much that my eyes are confused. Sure enough, the Lexington class is better. Not to mention the excellent ship equipment parameters, there are also pioneers in aviation tactics. Then compare the older sisters with younger sisters. The perfect wife still has imperfections, whether it is air defense or luck, it is better to cheat the Bath Queen. In this case, sister-in-law Saratoga, it's you. The unicorn plays the harp in the corner, and the sound is ethereal and long. Quincy is sleeping with his sister New Orleans in his arms. The sleeping girl is especially cute. Long Xiang wanted to open the window, but the air conditioner was already on, so she was pulled open. There was no pause, and she wanted to continue. At that time, Ziwei knocked her on the head and taught her a lesson. Richelieu was wearing a white shirt and a black vest, and he was obviously playing a guest role as a bartender again. A group of people from Wichita, Guam, Alaska, etc. gathered around a table, not knowing what they were doing. Mango milk tea, no ice. After leaving the office, Sugu walked into the coffee shop. She wanted to snatch Kent's ferocious tiger away, but found that her arms were empty. She didn't know who snatched it away first, which made her feel a little disappointed. If you don't bully a girl, you always feel like something is missing. Oh, Kent's face was always full of tears, and she couldn't change it at all. She responded and walked backstage. Looking around, Sugu found his sister-in-law by the window. He immediately walked over and sat down next to her. Gia. In the comics, Saratoga had a cold face and was holding ice juice while reading comics. When Saratoga saw Sugu, she smiled like a flower and said, "Brother-in-law." He hesitated to speak, so Sugu decided to slow down. "What book are you reading?" Saratoga didn't answer. She just lifted the book and showed the cover to Sugu. "Ask Bazai to borrow it." "I didn't see Bazai." Sugu looked around. Saratoga was annoyed. "She's still taking a nap." "It's already afternoon, right?" Sugu was surprised. "Still sleeping?" Saratoga doesn't mind telling her best friend and bestie, she's a pig. "You sleep in spring, fall, and summer, and you can't wake up in winter and March." Sugu laughed and said, "You can sleep all year round." Saratoga put down the comics, lay down on the round table, and said exaggeratedly, "A pair of shorts, a tank top, and no bra." The tank top was rolled up later, and only a little bit of everything was visible. "I moved several fans." She moved the one in the room. Then there was one on the left, one on the right, and another at the end of the bed, where a person was sleeping with his back stretched out. Sugu imagined such a scene and nodded thoughtfully. "You said that, I want to go and see it." Saratoga said, "I'm going to." It's time for her to get up. "Forget it. Bismarck doesn't care, we can't afford to wake her up even if we go." Sugu paused, then decided to get down to business. "Does Gia know?" "What do you know?" "Someone has come to challenge our garrison." "Who is it?" Saratoga laughed at that time and asked curiously, "The Admiral of the Kantang Islands." "Who else came with California, Kirishima, Kaohsiung, and Salt Lake City last time?" "Run with confidence. Isn't it enough to come here for an exercise and then be called out by Washington one by one? Or is it the weakling aircraft carrier Hero of the Kiebu combat team? It can't even defeat York City, and its level of operating carrier-based aircraft is too bad." "It's not them." "Well, an armored aircraft carrier, the indomitable." Sugu repeated, "She's not here for a drill, she's here specifically to challenge our garrison. She thinks you're not good enough." "Oh," Saratoga responded, and it took a moment for her to realize, "No way, you actually came to challenge us? Are you eating an ambitious leopard? You don't know how high the sky is." "What should I say?" Sugu paused. "So, this time, I hope you will take action." "Leave it to me." Saratoga sat up, facing the provocation. She did her best. "Mainly because it was my brother-in-law's request, and there was no way I could refuse it anyway. Whether it's going up a mountain of knives, going down a frying pan, or having sex, let her taste my power and face the terror of the great demon Saratoga. When she hears my name in the future, she will immediately tremble." "Yes, I just need this kind of momentum." Sugu said, "I believe Gia can definitely do it." "Where is she?" "I'm going to teach him a lesson now." Saratoga was wearing a sleeveless dress and stroked the air sleeves. "Don't worry, let's talk about it tomorrow. Prepare yourself carefully and don't take it lightly. In this case, we can only let her survive for a while." Bah, Saratoga said many cruel words again. Then she suddenly stopped, thinking of something. Lying on the round table, holding his cheeks with both hands, he asked tentatively, "Brother-in-law, if I win?" "Winning will be very beautiful, super beautiful." "Well, is there any reward? After all, it is also bringing glory to the town government." "What do you mean?" Sugu pretended to be dissatisfied. "If there is no reward, don't you want to do it?" "I did not say." General Suguji said, Since you don't want to, I can only go to Ruhi. She should have no problem. If you have to say who the governor hates, Ziwahi is definitely at the top. She sticks to her brother-in-law's side every day, and not only does the mistress take over, but she also instigates her brother-in-law to marry her sister Xianghe together. There is simply no one more hateful. Saratoga was not angry, she immediately said, I'm just asking casually, no reward. As a ship girl, it is natural to work for the garrison, there are not so many requirements. Why does this shameless look feel so familiar? Thinking of this, Sugu laughed, of course there will be rewards. Just ask Jia for whatever he wants. Saratoga hugged Sugu's arm, put her head against it, and breathed softly, brother-in-law, how about a date? It's just the two of us. What kind of reward is this? This is a reward for me, Sugu said, change it? Just then, Missouri with long brown hair came over and she sat down next to her. When she saw Missouri, Saratoga suddenly lost her smile and secretly cursed the vixen, what are you doing here? Regardless of Saratoga's unkind expression, Missouri smiled and said, Gaga, I'm just here to remind you not to be fooled by someone. Sugu was frightened, and Saratoga asked, what do you mean? The idea of a certain person was very clear. Missouri said, did he say that there is a man who has come to challenge the garrison and hopes that you will take action? Saratoga suddenly became alert, yes. He must not have told you that as long as you defeat that indomitable will join the garrison. Sugu calmly said, there's no problem. That one is unyielding and very beautiful. Missouri coughed, Jia, your brother-in-law has absolutely no idea about her, I believe it. It's not because you are the strongest in the garrison and they just found you. Saratoga said expressionlessly, brother-in-law. Don't listen to Missouri's nonsense, Sugu explained, I admit that the indomitable is very beautiful, and then, how should I put it? What do you mean? It's like I can't walk when I see a beautiful person. You can walk, Missouri said, you just saw that the little girl can't walk. Sugu's expression became even more ugly. Saratoga smiled sweetly, since my brother-in-law has no idea, I'd better lose. There are already so many people in the garrison. Sugu said seriously, since Jia doesn't want her to join the guardhouse, well, let's just lose. If you are not afraid of being laughed at, it doesn't matter to me. Then when her Saratoga snorted, then you reject her. Okay, just listen to Jia. Saratoga muttered, it was true that she liked to be petty, but she would never really act petty, that one is not to be bothered, you can do whatever you want, anyway, I am only responsible for defeating her. Then, brother-in-law, we agreed to go on a date. Seeing that the provocation was unsuccessful, Missouri held her chin with one hand. She looked at Sugu and made a tut-tut sound, I've seen it. It turns out he is a man. You can handle such a troublesome character and his perseverance hand. Missouri, you. Sugu was a little confused, don't come here until this afternoon. How can you be so well informed? I just met her, Missouri said. I actually knew her before. Sugu thought about it carefully, how do I feel about you? It seems like you recognize everyone. I've told you a long time ago, Missouri said, in the past, all the larger ship girl branches have been traveling around the world. In order to suppress the deep-sea flagship, they form teams with different people. Then these people, the strength cannot be weak. Therefore, I recognize all the ship girls who have some strength. Only the newcomers who climbed up after I left the combat team, and many ship girls in the garrison, I don't recognize. Sugu cupped his fists and said, okay, you are awesome. Then indomitable Missouri said, she and I have always teamed up in the West. Of course, Hindenburg is also there. That guy's character is really troublesome. Consultant Sue, how do you say it? She never talks well, Missouri said. She made black tea or prepared some snacks, and planned to invite everyone to taste them. It was a very good thing, but she never wanted to call people properly. She would only shout, "Who of you want it? Eat." Sugu thought for a while. It seems like nothing. That's the question. Do you want to know what tone is? Missouri said angrily. What should I say about that tone? Arrogant. It's like a kindergarten teacher who brought a lot of candies and then clapped his hands and said, "Children, who of you wants it? Eat candy." So, if you were there, would you like to eat it? Do you like to hear it? Sugu shook his head. There were many people in the combat team at that time, including the main force and the reserve force. Those reserve service members were definitely not as good as us, the main force, so they often asked us for advice. They were persistent, and they had to criticize the other party first before teaching them. Missouri said, "It's not just that. Just like some people like to hold chopsticks in this way, and some people like to hold chopsticks in that way. She likes to hold chopsticks in this way, which is smooth and convenient. When she sees others holding chopsticks in that way, she insists on criticizing and correcting others. Let me tell you. This is a good intention. The problem is, it is too self-righteous." Sugu covered his forehead. He had encountered people with this kind of personality many times. The IQ is very high, but the emotional quotient is a little bit low. Missouri wanted to say, but after thinking about it, forget it, there are so many such things, I don't even know where to start, and I can't finish them in a while. I can't finish talking about it for 3 days and 3 nights. Sugu pinched his chin, suddenly curious. I know she has a troublesome personality. So does she have any advantages? It's beautiful and cute. You know, Sugu said, that's not what I meant. Yes, of course there are advantages. Missouri raised her eyebrows, smiling happily. You will definitely like it. Tell me about it. Sugu couldn't help but be very curious. Before Missouri could start speaking, a figure suddenly walked over. It turned out to be the menacing Dai Feng. "Admiral. What's the matter?" Dai Feng clenched his hands into fists and knocked on the table. Looking for the lost ship girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 805. Although a little arrogant, that is, not frank. However, it has been so long since I returned to the town hall, and I have never blushed with anyone. It's not like Ziwahi, who quarrels with Saratoga every 3 days. Not to mention Hood, Prince Eugen, and Bismarck. Dai Feng can be said to be the most adorable and shy girl. Half-assed. That guy actually called me a half-assed armored aircraft carrier. Who does she think she is? What's so great about being indomitable? Not long after, Sugu knew everything. It turned out that he was being ridiculed, so no wonder he was so angry. He rubbed his forehead and thought, it would be too troublesome not to offend that character. Just visiting the governor's house would cause trouble. Sure enough, Dai Feng, you are really an unfortunate girl, so unlucky. Even though they are Japanese, they are also sisters of the guardhouse and cannot be bullied by outsiders. Saratoga proudly puffed up her chest. Dai Feng, a real man. Leave it to me with confidence. That one is so stubborn and has no eyesight. Watch me beat her up. Sugu patted his sister-in-law on the head and saw her shrinking her neck. A man? If you don't know what to say, don't say it. Dai Feng noticed something and became alert. Admiral, what's going on? What did Jia say? Missouri is afraid that the world will not be in chaos. Dai Feng, do you hate being stubborn? I hate it. Dai Feng didn't hide it. Want to be in the same townhouse with her? I don't want to. Dai Feng replied firmly. Missouri smiled. Your admiral likes it, I think so. Although he knew that Missouri didn't mean anything else, Sugu said disgustedly, Your admiral, your admiral. Missouri, I remind you to pay attention to your words. I am also your admiral, okay? Okay, our Our Admiral. Missouri shrugged. Then she recounted what happened, not explaining it properly, but embellishing it. Finally, he looked at Daifeng and nuzzled at Sugu. Daifeng, do you think that guy is going too far? No matter how troublesome his personality is, as long as he looks beautiful, that's all. Missouri, your character is also very troublesome. Don't you feel uncomfortable if you don't cause trouble? Sugu explained. She said that if I lose, she will join your garrison. I haven't agreed yet. Have you made up your mind? Missouri smiled. Win the fight, and then reject her. That's another story. Sugu was shy, but actually he still had some ideas. The main reason is that the Prince of Wales has said that he has given them a lot of help. Missouri also said that the people are very nice and enthusiastic, but they just can't speak. I want to teach people, but I like to criticize first. After thinking for a while, he finally explained to Daifeng that there might not be any malicious intent in being stubborn. However, Daifeng was non-committal because he was too venomous. Missouri shook her head. Man. Even if she is allowed to join the town guard, of course there are conditions. If you want to join our town guard, please rein in that troublesome personality, Sugu said, otherwise, don't blame us for training. Blindfold, gag, collar, bondage, whip, rocking horse, shackles, speak to me properly. Now I will teach you how to use honorifics. My little dog, if you don't obey, I will spank you. Snap Pati, Admiral, I'm sorry, I made the mistake of not scratching. Missouri became excited. She nodded. It's amazing, you still know how to play. Sugu was having wild thoughts, but he quickly recovered. He stood up and leaned towards Missouri, who was sitting opposite him. In Missouri's wide eyes, he clenched his fist and hit her on the head. Shut up. Missouri held her head in her hands, looking a little confused and extremely cute. Sugu coughed and said sternly, let's not talk about this anymore. In short, the problem now is that if you don't come over to challenge our guardhouse, we can't back down. In this case, Admiral, leave it to me. Leave it to me to teach that guy who doesn't know the heights of heaven and earth. Daifeng slapped her hands on the round table, making a loud noise, and she suddenly stood up. However, before Sugu could speak, her momentum paused and she became sluggish, and her expression became worried. Isn't that tough one very powerful? Sugu looked at Missouri, who said, very strong. When I was still in the combat team, her training level was about the same as mine. Don't praise yourself in any other way. Sugu pouted, your training level is very low. Missouri bared her teeth and kicked Sugu's calf. She thought for a moment, it's not low, it's very high. The mountain has stopped, so of course it can't compare with monsters. Anyway, I was already very skilled before. Later she left the combat team, but she didn't. When I first met her, I heard that she was no longer in the combat team. Even so, her training level couldn't be lower. It must be a higher level than before. Otherwise, why would she? You haven't lost yet, then join the garrison. If you drink a little more water, it will be eaten up and wiped clean by others. Sugu said, I think that troublesome character is the main reason. I admit that this is one of the reasons, but the main reason is that she is very strong. Missouri said sternly, as for Daifeng, there is no problem in stopping the win, but I don't dare to say that it is a steady game. Sugu thought about the game. Even if you fight a battle with a full level ship, and the enemy is only over level 50, you will still be defeated. In every event, there are people who shout that it is too difficult to complete the wedding ship at full level. Some people are keen to clear the level with low level and then ridicule it. Practice is important, but it's not everything. Despite this, he said, Missouri, remember when you first came to the garrison, didn't you lose all day long? Missouri was unhappy when this incident was brought up. She defended, whether Washington or Bismarck were counter-attacking, I could still fight back and forth with them. The main reason was that my mentality completely collapsed later. It doesn't matter, Sugu thought for a while and said, we have Hero aircraft, La-7, Core High-Dub aircraft, and P-39, Pokrishkin aircraft, dot. Missouri nodded, if that's the case, there will be no problem. Daifeng shook his head, no need. That's not true, Sugu said. In the past, coffee shops were the only place to relax, even if they were American-style shops, there was nothing they could do. Since the Kaohsiung noodle shop opened, Fuzhou has joined in, making it even more powerful. Based on the original foundation, this place started to sell dim sum again. It can be said that the number of Japanese people going to coffee shops has decreased significantly. Japanese and American people do not say they are sworn enemies, but if possible, they can remain silent or not. Daifeng hesitated. Daifeng Sugu said, okay, you don't need to ask, I will ask Lexington to give you the Hero machine. Admiral. Daifeng was so moved that his eyes sparkled. In fact, the main reason is that someone has gone too far in the past, so everyone has very low requirements for him. Stop, stop, stop. At this time, Saratoga stood up. She looked at Sugu, brother-in-law, please ask me first, and I agree. What you are doing now means that you don't want me anymore. Daifeng. I don't agree. Jia, be obedient. Sugu originally wanted to make a long speech, but he reacted in an instant, okay, no matter Daifeng wins or loses, your reward is indispensable. Saratoga then sat down and said cheerfully, that's pretty much it. Then, time passed quickly and it was the next day. Seagulls circled under the blue sky. Ko waved his hand below, Mr. Seagull. It's time to eat bread. There were several little Lolita holding breadsticks and raising their hands high. The bald eagle Belmacan hovers in the sky. In addition to the dumpling Essex, there is also the CV-16, which no one dislikes. On the pier, Sugu looked at Bulletin Nai and saw that besides the Prince of Wales and Counterattack as her friend, she could be said to be alone. Hood, Reputation, and others just looked on. Obviously, no matter what kind of British family you are, the garrison is the number one, and an outsider cannot expect any blessings. He looked at Daifeng again, and there were many people surrounding her. It's not as casual as before, just a t-shirt and a short skirt. Today Daifeng specially wore a grey Kyoto uniform, with his fiery red hair tied into a ponytail, which looked particularly neat. No girl doesn't gossip, it just varies to varying degrees. What happened in the town hall was known to almost everyone in just one afternoon or one night. Raising the wine bottle in the sea breeze, Kagami waved his hand, why are you so stubborn and so arrogant? Daifeng, you defeated her beautifully. Let's drink tonight. We have asked Fuzhou to prepare a feast, and we are just waiting to hold a celebration banquet for you. Akage smiled. Although not very picky, I certainly prefer delicious food if I can. It's great that Fuzhang returned to the governor's mansion. Although Yuxian's cooking skills are very good, her cooking skills are not bad at all. Sukiyaki, eel rice, tempura, charcoal grilled. Sorry, I can't think about it anymore, it's not good to drool. Sugu was listening on the side, thinking to himself, you just take the opportunity to eat and drink, and have some basic conscience, okay? Come on, stupid monkey. A childish voice sounded at this moment, and Daifeng's heart suddenly skipped a beat. The falcon, with his sharp eyes and quick hands, quickly lifted a certain little Lolita in a bikini with a national flag out of the sea. Big mackerel, don't scare people here. Go play somewhere else. Otherwise, I will teach you a lesson. Sister Daifeng, come on. Swafeng cheered Daifeng from the side. I will work hard. Swafeng no longer feels inferior after Sugu's enlightenment. However, for others, the inherent ideas are still not easy to change, especially those who have suffered deeply in history. When Daifeng saw Swafeng, his expression suddenly went blank and he was a little at a loss. but the other party was so kind and well-intentioned that it was difficult to say anything. Until Swafeng walked away, Ruhi still reminded him in a low voice, "It's auspicious, your family will be safe." "It's auspicious, my family is safe," Daifeng said, still a little uneasy. "Are you going to lose today?" Ruhi saw the worry on Daifeng's face, so she comforted her softly, "It's okay, don't worry about it. You don't have any luck anyway, as long as you have skills." Daifeng became aggrieved and thought for a while, "My luck is better than Shinano." Fortunately Shinano didn't hear it, otherwise he would have been shot innocently. Finally, it was getting closer and closer to the start of the exercise, and preparations began. I saw Daifeng walking on the sea, as if walking on flat ground, with only faint ripples rippling around her feet. She looked at Buletintiao, "I remind you, I am carrying a hero machine." "Don't worry, I won't say anything." Buletintiao waved his hand calmly, "I'm not here to challenge you, I'm here to challenge your garrison, so if you have any excellent equipment, feel free to bring it out. Besides, I'm a regular armor aircraft carrier, you are just a half-baked armored aircraft carrier. You may as well have some excellent carrier-based aircraft, otherwise I would be taking advantage. I don't understand why your garrison sent you out. Only by knowing yourself and the enemy can you win every battle." Daifeng went to get to know Baneo, "My ship equipment parameters are much better than yours." Haha, Buletin Tuo shook her head. She didn't believe it, and it wasn't like she didn't know Daifeng's ship equipment parameters. "You don't believe it?" Daifeng opened his eyes wide. "Of course I don't believe it. I've grown." Hee hee. Daifeng almost went crazy. She was so angry that she forgot all her plans. She looked around and finally said angrily, "What carrier-based aircraft are you using?" "Sea Spitfire, Sea Fang, BTD-1 destroyer." Unlike Missouri, who likes to bully others with excellent equipment, Daifeng let out a breath and said angrily, "I won't take advantage of you, I will just use Sea Fang, Gale Wind, and so on. Save me when the time comes and I win, you can say that I'm good because of my equipment." Buletintiao shook his head, "I didn't even say anything, I just said a few words casually, and you just left the good equipment and didn't use it. Looking at your temper, you will suffer in the future. People say, you just have great legs, don't use them. If you have the guts you really don't need your legs. People say that you have great hands and don't use them. If you have the guts, so why don't you use them?" Daifeng clenched his fists and trembled all over. "Okay, let's start quickly. Don't be anxious, calm down, it's easy to expose your flaws if you get too excited." Buletinsuo looked sideways not far away, "I admire Missouri. No matter what you say, that guy will never get excited and will always have a playful smile." "Yes, the most difficult to deal with." Daifeng took a deep breath, forced himself to calm down, and praised without hesitation, "That's right." However, Daifeng didn't give it a good look, "Stop talking nonsense and wait until you lose." "I can't lose to one." Buletintiao chuckled, "I was woken up by the sound of the propellers of the carrier-based aircraft in the morning. I walked out and took a look, and it turned out that someone was practicing the carrier-based aircraft." Daifeng's face turned red. In the past, he always slept until he was ready to eat before getting up, and then walked leisurely to the cafeteria. "Since I haven't flown a carrier-based aircraft for a long time, I was a little afraid of getting my hands dirty, so I decided to warm up. So early this morning, as soon as it was light, I got up immediately and ran to the rooftop to launch the carrier-based aircraft. I know what you're thinking. It's useless if you don't sharpen your gun quickly in battle, but..." Buletin now said, 1 minute on stage, 10 years of hard work off stage. You sweat more in peacetime, and bleed less in war. Being good at work means being diligent and being wasteful. Play, success is achieved by thinking and destroyed by following. The tree that hugs each other is born from the smallest detail, the 9-story platform starts from the base of the earth, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Roll roll roll. Daifeng scratched her hair, fearing that she was going to hit someone on the spot, so she drove away silently. When the distance was close, she raised the flight deck. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 806. It's no longer the same outfit as yesterday. Today, Buletinho has changed into a Victorian-style dress, more like a noble lady. Unlike many people, she is usually a cute little loli, a cute girl, and a gentle big sister. As soon as he unfolded his ship's uniform, his aura suddenly became fierce and he became like a warrior. Even with her steampunk metallic ship outfit unfolded, she still gives people a slow and leisurely look. Elf, I leave it to you. Seeing Daifeng in place, Bohuo spread his hand against the sea breeze, and something suddenly appeared on his palm. Not a dragonfly, not a petrel, not a butterfly, more like a small mechanical beast with wings on its back. Then, she raised her palm, and the little mechanical beast suddenly flew in the sky like a griffin in a fantasy movie. Within a few seconds, it transformed into a carrier-based aircraft. After all, the hero aircraft was not replaced by an ordinary carrier-based aircraft. The main reason is that I can't wait to kill some hateful guy. Holding a red umbrella that looked like several propellers, Daifeng slowly sailed on the sea while looking up at the sky. It's summer now and the sun is shining brightly. It's not a rainy day, a thunderstorm, or a windy day that requires extra attention and caution. The sky is cloudless and the visibility is very good. It seems that no one is doing any tricks. For example, hiding the carrier-based aircraft in the clouds, etc., and then taking it by surprise. Usually he likes to use the flight deck as a bench, but now Daifeng controls the robotic arm to lift the flight deck, which is on his left hand. There is no way, even though it is Japanese, unlike Akagi and others who use bows and arrows to fly carrier-based aircraft, she really can't do so many tricks. Of course, this has no impact, it is just a way of expression, and it makes no difference which way you release it. CV-16 doesn't like to talk during battle, and doesn't even have any expression, whether it's excitement, happiness, or sadness. The Hornet likes to yell, for example, while controlling the carrier-based aircraft to make certain flight movements, it shouts out some secondary words. As for Daifeng, she took a deep breath and twirled her red umbrella. The wind is blowing. We have to work hard to survive. Daifeng turned his head and saw a carrier-based aircraft that looked like a small model aircraft appeared on his flight deck. She was distracted by the carrier-based aircraft, and images suddenly appeared in her mind. There are various instruments, warning lights, switches, and joysticks in the picture, making it look like a flight cockpit. It's a feeling that's hard to describe. You don't do it yourself, but your thoughts control everything. Turn the fuel cock. Turn on the fuel pump power switch. Start the booster and reset the control lever. Watch the engine speed. Check the working status of the generator, release the tail wheel, and the carrier-based aircraft begins to taxi. Before taking off, straighten and lock the tail wheel, and turn on the fuel pump switch. The speed is enough and we can start to take off. Just like that, with the sound of the propeller turning, she successfully launched the carrier-based aircraft. All in all, both sides released carrier-based aircraft, and this was the beginning of the exercise. Air combat is naturally hedging first. However, this was an exercise, and the carrier-based aircraft could not actually be controlled to spit out tongues of fire, so the hedging ended in vain this time. The battle has just begun, and the carrier-based aircraft are in a high-speed, high-energy state with high maneuverability. After a staggered hedging, either Daifeng or Budu controlled the carrier-based aircraft to turn around and return, so another hedging occurred. However, One carrier-based aircraft versus one carrier-based aircraft, each carrier-based aircraft loops in a different direction. This time there are two kinds of hedging. One is the same as at the beginning, and the other is the aid hedging. The problem was still the same as at the beginning. The exercise was not well refereed, and no carrier-based aircraft was lost after several hedging operations. Immediately afterwards, due to several large-sloped horizontal loops, this action greatly consumed the energy of the carrier-based aircraft. The maneuverability of carrier-based aircraft continues to decrease, and the hovering radius becomes larger and larger. Both sides are unable to perform actions close to the radius of the last rotation, that is, they cannot form a hedge, and then it is a dogfight. In an air battle with machine guns or cannons as the main weapons, two hostile fighter jets try to enter the other side's tail area to aim and shoot, just like two dogs playing and chasing each other and biting each other's tails. If there is anything exciting about aerial combat, with vertical maneuvers, rollers, scissor maneuvers, and other flying maneuvers appearing, dogfighting is it. This is the pier. The stupid monkey is so stupid. He should have raised all the carrier-based aircraft to the highest level and then swooped down. If it's like what I said, at least 2 Spitfires have been destroyed by now. Wow, this level still represents the defense of the town. It's really ridiculous to participate in the exercise. If it were us dumplings, she would definitely win easily. As for the reward, she doesn't ask for anything, just a ring. Essex tried to stop her pet, but she couldn't. The bald eagle Belmacan still chattered non-stop, talking nonsense here and there. Finally, Ruhi couldn't stand it anymore, and she threatened, "Shut up, or don't blame me for being heartless." On a full moon night, on the top of the Forbidden City, a sword comes from the west, and a fairy flies from the sky. Two peerless masters competing in martial arts would be of great benefit to a third-rate low hand. Yorktown looked carefully. CV-16 bit his lip and stared. Shinano opened his mouth slightly and grasped the skirt of the maid uniform with both hands. He was so surprised that he could not speak. It turned out that this kind of operation existed, anyway, only Bumblebee was the exception. She hugged Northampton's shoulders. He was talking without looking at the sky at all. Although she has a vixen side and a sinister side in private, Lexington is a gentle big sister in the hearts of almost everyone in the town hall. You ask me to explain, but I can't say anything. In fact, I have taught you everything I need to teach you, and there is no secret. If you want to become stronger, it mainly depends on whether you can understand it well and whether you can integrate it. After all, it's just those things. It's a cliché. Take advantage of the height as much as possible. Maintain a high speed as much as possible. Don't easily make sharp horizontal turns at the expense of speed, unless there is compensation. As much as possible. Possibly inducing the opponent to lose height or speed. By the way, don't focus on the gains and losses of a carrier-based aircraft. Although in history, every aircraft is controlled by a pilot, every life is precious. Compared with carrier-based aircraft, excellent team pilots are more rare. It is said that if you save a pilot, you can exchange it for ice cream of the same weight. It is different now. Every carrier-based aircraft is just our spirit, and it does not matter if it is lost. Anyway, remember it. The most important thing is for an aircraft carrier to gain air supremacy. If it does not gain air supremacy, not only will the opening be harmless, but the carrier-based aircraft will not be able to bear the loss. Lexington said, and she smiled. Once again, I remembered that when I first entered the garrison, neither I nor the admiral understood anything. I didn't know what kind of fighter jets to bring with me when I went out, so I consumed a lot of aluminum for every supply, turning myself into a big aluminum eater. Dafeng and Boneo are the protagonists and need no introduction. York City and others are watching the exercises and learning techniques. Missouri, Richelieu, etc., are completely watching the excitement. There are several referees on the sea, what they have to do. To be honest, it's quite a lot. Akage looked at the blue sky, and his orange kimono was blown by the sea breeze. Zeppelin, look to the right. There is a sea fang that is tightly held by Daifeng's La-7, Korodyobu aircraft. It took almost 5 minutes to bite the tail. No matter how bad Daifeng's luck was, this amount of time was enough to destroy Haifang. I agree with this opinion. Zeppelin nodded and shouted, if you don't give in, you will lose a carrier-based aircraft. There was no need to say which carrier-based aircraft it was. Of course, Buduo knew which one it was. She was still a little unsure of what happened to her carrier-based aircraft. She silently pulled a sea-venomous fang out of the battlefield. It's not a game. Gaining air superiority is a complete victory, and not a single carrier-based aircraft will be lost. No matter how excellent the performance of the La-7, Korodub aircraft, it is surrounded by 3 Spitfires and is not far away from being destroyed. Even if Daifeng is our sister, I really don't want to lose her now. 1 La-7, Korodub aircraft. But because it was a hero aircraft, it was judged that the indomitable Spitfire also lost one. The performance of the hero machine is really excessive, Zeppelin whispered. Even though I have become a destroyer teacher now, I still drool when looking at the hero aircraft as an aircraft carrier. However, she would definitely not be able to get the hero plane, and she probably wouldn't even be able to sleep with him. She shook her head and shouted, Daifeng has lost an La-7, Korodyobu aircraft, and Indomitable has lost a Spitfire. Uncomfortable, Daifeng raised his lips. Indomitable felt that he should not be judged as the loss of one of his Spitfires. She wanted to defend herself, but she obviously couldn't do it during the exercise. She just waited to review and argue afterward. If the referee is unfair or the level is not good enough, the outcome will not be recognized. Return to the battlefield. I was a little worried at first, but Daifeng got better and better as he fought. The hero machine was really great. Speaking of which, I don't know what happened to Jing Yungai, but the admiral took it away as soon as he got it. He found that the tail of his Sea Spitfire was bitten by a hero aircraft. He controlled the Sea Spitfire first to the left, then to the right, and finally raised the altitude little by little, and suddenly dived towards the sea. Unfortunately, she still couldn't get rid of him. Finally, after several failures, she waved her hand, and the sea-breathing fire came down and exited the battlefield. What a naughty boy! Buduo Qing watched Daifeng shoot down a Spitfire, and then controlled the carrier-based aircraft to fire into the air to celebrate. She waved her hand and controlled 2 sea fangs to pounce on a hero aircraft. I thought I only shot down 1 carrier-based aircraft, there were so many more. Everything is under control, this kind of thing was already expected. However, within a minute, Buduo discovered that another Spitfire was entangled. He subconsciously bit his lip. This time, the chuckle disappeared. It's very naughty. Daifeng likes literature and is very concerned about the quality of the novels he writes. My new book is about to be published and I want to hear reviews. Although I am quite afraid that I will get some bad reviews. As long as one reader gives a bad evaluation, such as no passion and no connotation. Immediately I became anxious and uneasy, feeling that something was wrong. I thought about trying to correct it, and try to write something dark, profound, and cruel. Of course, I later heard from the editor that this was normal. Most readers will forget it after reading it and will not comment. Although some people shout bad things, don't forget that there are many people who support you. Until now, Daifeng had not cared so much about the outcome of the exercise. It doesn't matter if you lose, and it's not worth being happy if you win. It's time to eat, it's time to drink, it's time to sleep. However, this time, Daifeng desperately wanted to win. Consider flying maneuvers. Guess the enemy plane's plans. Lure the enemy deeper. One ride is worth 1,000. Pull up. Dive. Sachi cut. Lagging pursuit. Although it is not an aircraft carrier, I have learned many things as an admiral. Sugu looked up at the sky and found that there were fewer and fewer carrier-based aircraft in the sky. Most of them were Daifeng's carrier-based aircraft. Jia, Daifeng should have won. It's not close, but it's close. It can be said that the garrison is the strongest. Saratoga said this, and the ending is basically stable. Finally, a long exercise took place. When only his carrier-based aircraft was left in the sky, Daifeng's face was full of excitement. Although he was unlucky, he still received Swifeng's blessing. But my training level was not low, and I still had a hero machine, so I still won and regained my position. So, I must ridicule you severely. Daifeng sailed all the way to Bulletin Niu's side and proudly raised his chin. I won. Don't say that like many people. They lost the exercise, their shoulders were slumped, and they were sitting ducks on the sea. There was no anger, loss, or regret on his indomitable face. You won. I wonder what your performance is. Daifeng's eyes widened, and she repeated, I won. Yeah, that's awesome. You can actually defeat me. Daifeng was stunned after listening to Bulletin Cao's words. It felt like the other party's tone sounded like the admiral playing backgammon with the little girl from the town hall. When the little loli finally won, he reached out and touched the little loli's head and said, oh, that's awesome. It was almost like The Apprentice. The loser finally won, the master, and the winner all along showed their relief. She suppressed her anger. Do you think Daifeng is still a half-baked armored aircraft carrier? I lost, so feel free to be happy. Daifeng looked at the indomitable expression and actually smiled. She didn't know what to say. She thought, we have already lost. What do you mean by this? She looked at the flight deck next to her. There is a mechanical arm connected to the flight deck, so there is nothing we can do. She paused and saw the umbrella in her hand again, so she folded it up and turned it into a straight umbrella. I've never seen someone so self-righteous like you. Daifeng raised his straight umbrella high and hit Bunyo on the head and face. Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 807. Even though she is a ship girl, she has superhuman strength and unparalleled defense. She will not be hurt at all if a cannonball hits her body. Still, it hurts. When the straight umbrella hit his head and the pain came, he stretched out a hand to cover the hit area on his head. He looked at the red-haired girl standing in front of him arrogantly. To be honest, she felt a little confused. You hit me. Mainly because I was too angry, my mind went blank, and I did whatever came to my mind. However, when the straight umbrella really hit Bush's head, Daifeng himself was shocked by what he had done. But she had already done it. She was a girl with a tsundere personality. She raised her chin and said, yes, I will hit you. No one has ever hit me. She was not a shrewd girl, so she slapped her back instead of backhand. In fact, the main reason is that my head is feeling dizzy, and I am mumbling to myself. As a ship girl, I have no parents. To be honest, when I was a weakling, I was often beaten by the instructor. However, it has now become a powerful aircraft carrier, and its status in the system of the ship's headquarters is not low. It can even be said to be very high, like a feudal official. It can be said that this kind of thing has never happened before. No one hit you before, but now they do. As soon as the words came out, Daifeng felt like his head was being pulled away. Now, for a moment, Bulletin Tiao couldn't react, but he just felt that something was wrong. Daifeng looked around, uneasy, holding a straight umbrella against the sea surface, making circles of ripples. She felt that this was not the case, and that was not the case, so she finally gritted her teeth and said, I'll just beat you. What do you want? You. Bulletin Zhu's eyes widened. Thinking about it afterwards, my head was definitely broken at that time. Anyway, that's what she said, hit me again. It was just a moment of excitement. How dare you do it again now? However, it would be too shameful to back down like this. Dai Feng made up her mind. She took the straight umbrella and carefully hit Bush's head gently and said, I hit again. There was no strength at all, and Bulatin Tiao couldn't help but sneer. Seeing such a disdainful smile, Dai Feng's blood surged up again. Anyway, I've already done it once, so I don't care. She desperately raised the straight umbrella in her hand and knocked it hard again. I have never heard such a request. Okay, now you are satisfied. Shaking and swaying, stars appeared in front of his eyes. Bulatin scratched his head with his hands, and his elegant image had completely disappeared. Fortunately, he didn't turn into a crazy woman. You still dare to fight? Why don't you dare? Even if she is usually quite weak, the little loli can still bully her. I sat under the shade of a tree with a big plate of snacks, preparing to write a novel while eating. The little loli ran over and took it one by one, not daring to say anything more. Unlike Ovo Quincy, whoever dares to grab food will be eaten. My sister New Orleans is no exception, but it's just New Orleans grilled chicken drumsticks. The Admiral was no exception, with teeth marks on his palms. Dai Feng raised the straight umbrella in his hand and danced like a tiger, with only a sound barrier. You speak so unpleasantly, you deserve to be beaten. If you keep talking, I will beat you again. Bulatin Tiao has no self-consciousness. What happened to my words? Who do you think is a half-baked armored aircraft carrier? Even though she was a ship girl now and didn't have much contact with battleships, Dai Feng was still a little concerned. Although she lost and did not turn into a bunny, she was just a little better than usual. She said, the definition of an armored aircraft carrier is to lay armor on the flight deck to protect the hangar and flight deck, and also to protect the power cabin and ammunition depot, but Teho. But he didn't wait for Bulatin Ni to finish. It was already broken. Dai Feng took the straight umbrella and gave her another heavy blow. He thought about it and nodded, it's just different design concepts. No one is better or worse. It would be better to say that Dai Feng is an improved model, with a more powerful design concept than the glorious class. It's not that she's unreasonable. In Bulatin Tiao's mind, Dai Feng Hao is neither fish nor fowl. She snorted softly, ha ha. Suddenly Dai Feng knocked again without holding back at all. There's nothing I can do about it, it's just too abominable not to scratch that smile. It seemed that he was being unreasonable and persistent, so he didn't want to refute and just sneered disdainfully. Covering his forehead, Bulatin Zhu was also annoyed. The Dai Feng sank in the first battle. Historically, the Teho had just become the flagship, ready to fight, and ready to reach the pinnacle of boat life, when she immediately met her destiny, the big mackerel. Compared to Shinano's first voyage and sinking, it was just a little better. Hitting someone without slapping someone in the face, exposing someone without exposing their shortcomings, Dai Feng hit him with another stick. She no longer cares about that much, regardless of whether you are a guest of the garrison. I just encountered a big mackerel and was hit by a torpedo. It was not an aviation attack. It sank because of insufficient armor on the flight deck. Dai Feng Gao. This time Bulatin Tiao just opened her mouth and only said 2 words. Dai Feng gave her another blow. I haven't said anything yet, Budu said angrily. Anyway, you lose now. Dai Feng knocked Bushu again, a little addicted. Garbage. I just won once. It's just a hero machine. After some practice, Bulatin Niu was able to feel the power of the hero machine. Its excellent performance was simply intoxicating, like a deadly poison. Dai Feng said contemptuously, you said it yourself, I can use any carrier-based aircraft, but now you are still not convinced. When the victory was won, there were still a considerable number of carrier-based aircraft in the sky. Of course there are reasons for hero machines, but there are also reasons for leveling. Even if it wasn't crushing, it was just a little bit different. It was definitely not a good match. The fight went back and forth, but in the end they were defeated. No matter once, twice, 3 times, or 4 or 5 times, Dai Feng is now confident of winning. She hummed, "If we do it again, if we use the same carrier-based aircraft, I will win. I will still win." You press him on the ground and rub him for a good beating. Indomitable silence. She had seen Dai Feng controlling the hero machine to make various flying movements. It's definitely not that he's not strong enough, he's quite handy. In the face of various attacks, the soldiers came to cover up the water and the earth, and they were able to deal with it with ease. There was no sloppiness or hesitation at all. It was obvious that he had experienced hundreds of battles and his training level was only higher than his own. Willing to admit defeat, she paused. "You won, so you have the right to laugh at me." "When did I laugh at you?" Dai Feng became angry when he thought about it. From yesterday to today, he was in a bad mood almost the entire day. Okay, that's still a bit of an exaggeration. Although she is not heartless, she is not a person who holds grudges. I was fine and didn't do anything. Who suddenly came over and laughed at me? At the end of the exercise, when Dai Feng waved his straight umbrella and hit Bohu's head, the Prince of Wales actually saw it. In order to avoid a conflict, she ran over quickly. As the referee, Akagya and Zeppelin saw the Prince of Wales, so they did not stop Dai Feng. All in all, the Prince of Wales rushed to the two men's side. Although she knew that it was wrong to be stubborn in the first place, this was obviously not the time to add fuel to the fire. She explained it properly for the sake of stubbornness. Bulletin Tiao just doesn't know how to speak well. She has no malice, but is a good person. Dai Feng. If you don't scratch her, she actually cares about you. Otherwise, if she doesn't care, she will simply ignore you. It's just that she is used to giving people a lesson first, and then giving guidance. He is a good person, but he is a bit arrogant. Dai Feng was not happy at that time and she bared her teeth. What is knife-mouth tofu? Once the words are spoken, there is no way to take them back. Nails are hammered into the board, and the nails can be removed, but the scars remain. Oh. Yes, yes. Okay, okay. A person who is mean-spirited may sound unpleasant in his words, but he is actually a good person. He is much better than a treacherous villain, a person who talks sweetly and is a mean-spirited person. But why do you have to be worse than the worst? Is there no such bad person in this world except for such a bad person? Someone else. Saratoga is so powerful, but she doesn't point fingers at others. She hurts others without meeting them. No matter what questions York City or CV-16 ask her, she doesn't say "you idiots." It won't happen this way, and it won't happen that way either. I've just said, I don't like treacherous people with sharp mouths and soft hearts, nor do I like treacherous villains or sweet-talking people with swords in their mouths. I like people with sharp mouths and soft hearts, people who talk well. Xianghe and Fuzang are so gentle. Even though they are American. Lexington too. Dai Feng glanced at the Prince of Wales, and then looked at Bushu again. I heard about it. She visited the town hall and kept saying bad things about the town hall, saying that it was very poor and terrible. Of course, it was definitely not as good as the wealthy Kanyang headquarters. But the town hall was only established a few years ago. It's great to already have this. I've heard of other people's townhouses that have nothing at all, no cafe, no library. He also said that the admiral is terrible. He obviously doesn't know anything. I don't know how good the admiral has become. Shinano attacked once and lost so many carrier-based aircraft. He didn't curse, he was comforting people. York City was broken and returned. He didn't curse at the governor's house. He didn't force you to attack and enter super dangerous sea areas. He didn't feel comfortable when the canal room was empty. He even returned the B-25 to Bumblebee. He cared about everyone in the governor's house, unlike before. Just throw it away and ignore it? The Prince of Wales couldn't help coughing and thought to himself, let alone how bad the admiral was before, now he only does what a normal admiral should do. Dai Feng snorted towards Baneo. I don't understand anything at all. Yes, yes. This is sincerity, this is straightforward. But whether it's sincerity or frankness, does it really mean that much? Because sincerity and frankness mean you can say anything and do whatever you want, regardless of other people's shame. And I don't think she is sincere or straightforward. She just has a bad mouth and can't speak. She is smellier than stinky tofu, bitter melon, coriander, celery, and canned herring. Alright. Let's just assume that she scolded me because she wanted to help me, and her intentions were good. But if she wanted to help me, why didn't she ask me if she needed help? I didn't need anything, so she ran over and said what are 3 dishes and 4s. I like to eat tamagoyaki, I like to eat dumplings, and think they are the most delicious food in the world. I don't think everyone likes these, and I don't think I can ask the cafeteria to only prepare these things. Admiral, he likes to eat meat. He is the boss of the town government, and he does not require everyone to eat meat. Haha, London also thinks that the food he cooks is delicious and will bring happiness to people. Because the idea is good, everything can be forgiven. Okay. Prince of Wales, you said she is a good person and has helped you before. Not only that, she has also helped many people. Many new admirals and many wandering ship girls. I believe this, absolutely believe it. But there is no conflict. She is good, people are also bad people. Arrogant, self-righteous, pretentious, unscrupulous, bad-mouthed, difficult to get along with, and not good at being a good person. No one has ever said such a thing to himself. Buduo said nothing and kept listening to Dai Feng. She thought of many things. Over the years, I have held important positions at the ship girl headquarters and helped many people. As a powerful ship girl, she has mentored many people. There are so many people who have received help from themselves. No matter what I said, I knew it was with good intentions, and I kept calling her sister, don't scratch me, and sister, don't scratch me non-stop every day. But the vast majority of people, since they separated, have never contacted themselves unless it was for official business. When something happens, even if I know it can be solved easily, I don't want to come over and ask for help, I would rather make it a little more troublesome. Bulletin Tiao looked at the Prince of Wales. I thought that even if he was speaking good words for me now, so would the Prince of Wales. When I said goodbye before leaving, I didn't see myself. I just said that I didn't wait for 2 more days and left. There was no letter sent afterward, nothing. From the beginning, I didn't like myself at all, and I wasn't a friend. Buka lowered his head and looked at his skirt. I thought that although she was very strong and beautiful, not many admirals pursued her. Compared with those destroyers, this is debatable. After all, there is no admiral who is not a Lolita control. Would you like some rabbits today? The club is a giant in the admiral circle. In short, light cruisers, heavy cruisers, and light aircraft carriers are not as good as each other. Dai Feng Bulletin now said, I'm sorry. Dai Feng suddenly heard Bulletin now's words and was stunned for a while without reacting. When she saw Bush's face, she remembered a sentence for no reason. I always thought that people grow old slowly, but this is not true. People grow old in an instant. She was quite angry at first, but after she won, she vented her anger, and the other party apologized again. Dai Feng didn't care about it so much. She waved her hand, forget it, I forgive you. Therefore, those who say there is no way to save them will only hear Bunyo say, if you forgive people so easily, you will suffer in the future. Dai Feng's expression paused, and she raised the straight umbrella again and swung it down. Looking for the lost ship girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 808. Her beautiful short hair was gilded in the morning sun putting down the cool fan. Ziwei put his arms around the shoulders of Dai Feng, whose ponytail was a little messy due to long hours of practice. She didn't have the slightest fondness for the guy who made rude remarks when he first came to the guardhouse. Naturally, she saw the scene of Dai Feng banging the guy with a straight umbrella. Well done. I'm really too self-righteous. I need to teach him a lesson. Ruhi is a good friend, so he can be a little unscrupulous in front of her. Dai Feng stuck out the tip of his tongue. It was really cute. Once, twice, 3 times, it's really enjoyable. In fact, I originally wanted to hit her with the flight deck, but unfortunately I couldn't take it off. The feeling of a straight umbrella is still a bit worse. After all, it is not a weapon. If you hold the flight deck like a big board, smash it, bang bang bang, and finally use force, and then directly break the flight deck like in the comics, it will feel cool just thinking about it. However, if the flight deck is broken, I don't know how much steel will be spent to repair it. If the flight deck is damaged, at least it should be moderately damaged, and if you take a trip to the ditch room, the garrison will probably have to reimburse you for repair resources and compensation, so the gain outweighs the loss. Actually, that's all. She's not that angry anymore. If she were to do it again, she wouldn't even be able to hit someone with the straight umbrella. She didn't fight back. Even if you did something wrong, you can apologize. If anyone dared to hit him like this, Ruhi would never comply. Of course, it also depends on what mistakes were made. Fight back, Dai Feng snorted, and the usually shy girl let go of herself around familiar people. She has to be able to beat me. I originally thought she was so powerful, but it was just a waste of worry. It's just rubbish, not worth mentioning at all. Dai Feng suddenly snickered, and she remembered the apology from Bo and I gave her a good education and told her how unbearable she was. Yeah. It can be said that Hong Zongdalu was enlightened and enlightened. He, she apologized to me, and it turns out that guy would also apologize. I thought she would always be so arrogant, self-righteous, and arrogant. So Ziwa, he said, she said you were a half-baked armored aircraft carrier, and you just forgive her. Otherwise, what else can we do? Dai Feng thought for a while. Thinking about it afterwards, I was told a few words at first, but it wasn't that big of a deal. Even if she just apologized, she could be forgiven, but I still hit her. There seems to be no good way. Ruhi nodded thoughtfully, but according to the agreement, if you defeat her, she will join the town guard. What if she says bad things about you again in the future? How do you dress up? Dai Feng crossed his arms and said, cold salad. Cold salad, Ruhi said, cold salad with scrambled eggs. Cold preserved eggs are delicious. The flight deck is a bench, and can also hold plates with dumplings and snacks. Finally, a straight umbrella is used to hide from the rain. She is the only one who can do such a thing. Since landing, the ship's uniform has been put away. The straight umbrella is another part of the ship's equipment and is also put away. Dai Feng raised his hand and blew into his fist. What should I do if the child can't speak? It probably deserves a spanking. Just give it a spanking. Having just made the bold statement, Dai Feng frowned. Is the admiral really going to accept her? Just after she finished speaking, Dai Feng burst into laughter. She felt that the word accept seemed a bit wrong, as if she was accepting someone into the harem. I don't know. Ruhi stood on tiptoes and walked around on the dock, spreading his hands and raising his short skirt. Of course, his underwear was not visible. After a while, she found her sister Xianghe looking at her with a smile. She felt a little embarrassed by her circling action just now. She coughed and shamefully slandered, that guy is a pervert, as long as he looks pretty. That guy, Dai Feng said, he is your husband. Ziwei was non-committal. Dai Feng chuckled, every time I say others are perverts, I am not the same. I saw someone holding the admiral's hand and running into the lighthouse. It's not me, it's him who pulled me. I'm a wedding man, Ruhi defended, feeling a little weak. She blushed and quickly grabbed Daifeng's face, pulling it out of shape. Daifeng Phoenix, Turkey, you can't beat me. No, 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 I won't have any problem beating you. Since defeating Buletin Cao, Daifeng has gained some confidence. If it's Akage, that's it. Ziwi, he hasn't grown up, so he's just a little lucky. After all, someone has come over. Ruhi chuckled, put his hands into Daifeng's clothes, and raised and lowered his hands. Tisk, tisk, tisk. You can't tell, Daifeng turns out to be a hidden type, like Sister Akage. Daifeng started shouting loudly at that time. Ruhi suddenly felt lost, and seemed to be much more powerful than himself. Daifeng had already walked to the shore. After all, he had beaten the man severely, so it was better to use the 36 tactics to get away. Indomitable and the Prince of Wales were slower, talking and sailing slowly, and it took a long time before they reached the shore. Walking onto the pier, she looked around. It turns out there are many people watching here, big and small. Perhaps because the exercise has been going on for a long time, there are not that many people left. In fact, it was all in the midterm, when she knew she couldn't win. In order to avoid losing so quickly, she no longer thought about attacking later on, but took up defense and delayed it as long as possible. Naturally, all the little Lolita left. They were just trying to have fun and quickly lost interest. In the summer, swimming in the sea, building sand castles on the beach, or adventuring in the jungle is obviously much more fun. The adults are no better, just watching the excitement. It's not a light carrier, an aircraft carrier, or a heavy-duty carrier, and it doesn't look like anything special yet. It's better to go to a coffee shop and enjoy the air conditioning and read a book. In fact, many people were not interested from the beginning and did not even take a look. Buletinho saw Sugu, wearing casual clothes. She saw the blonde girl holding his arm. It is said that it is the Saratoga, the most powerful aircraft carrier in the garrison, and no one can rival it. She didn't look that powerful at all. She was just an ordinary girl in love. I lost. Nowadays, Sugu is still a little bit dissatisfied with the training skills of his own girls. If you carry the hero machine with you, you can still lose, which is incredible. He is used to being humble, to be honest. This is why everyone in the Admiral Circle yells at him. It's simply hateful to pretend to be cute when there are so many girls in the garrison. But then again, he also proudly claimed that he had many ship girls, many marriage ships, and a powerful garrison, but he was still criticized. Anyway, the European admirals and the big boss admirals were far away from death. When they saw it, they were upset. Daifeng is just relying on good equipment. She's very skilled. Buletin Tiao thought to himself that he didn't believe it when he heard it from the Prince of Wales, but now seeing is believing. With such level of training, suppressing the deep-sea flagship is a piece of cake, but it's still not that easy. There is always a limit to the strength of a ship girl, and the strength of the deep-sea flagship has exceeded the limit, to the point of being unscientific and terrifying. Sugu said, "She's not that tall, so there's no need to praise her. Without training, even a hero machine wouldn't be able to achieve this result." Buletin Tiao smiled. "My opponent said she was amazing. You are her ship girl, but you are belittling her." Sugu said, "It's just a matter of luck." "Does she have any luck?" Buletin Shu said bluntly. "Everyone knows the name of the unfortunate girl Daifeng. There is never a shortage of people who do good things. Put the ship girls together and create something like the Lucky Club, Lucky E Club, Unlucky Tea Party, etc. Of course, there are many ship girls who are lucky or not, but because they are not famous, no one pays attention to them. Just like Lexington, she is quite famous and has a lot of information about her. A lot of heavy touring idols who had no reputation, York, Exeter, nothing. Finally got rid of Ziwihi. With her hands folded across her chest, like a girl who had been molested, Dai Feng heard Bulletin Anai's words keenly. Even though it was true, she was eager to do it again. OK Bunyo did not continue the business exchange. She lowered her head and brushed her bangs and looked up at Sugu. I lost. I have already promised. From now on, you will be my admiral. Sugu thought to himself that after becoming an admiral for so long, it can be said that he has been affected by the general environment. If an admiral does not fish the boat, what is the difference between him and a salted fish? To be honest, it's very beautiful and I like it very much. Whether it's the straight bangs, the waist-length smooth black hair, or the delicate, beautiful and charming face, including the tear mole at the corner of the eye. However, the other person's character is really troublesome. He criticizes people unceremoniously when they meet, and he can't speak at all. Not knowing whether to agree or refuse, Sugu raised his head and looked at the sky. You said Buko, only the most powerful garrison is worthy of you, and only the most powerful admiral is worthy of you. You have also seen the governor's office, it is at this level. In fact, I am not a powerful admiral, I am just a mascot, a seal admiral. Everyone is so awesome, it is not my credit at all. I have to say anything, I just did a little bit. It's just a job. Yes, you still have some self-awareness, Bulletin Tiao said, but as an admiral, it is rare for you to be so at ease even if you don't work hard. This won't work, and that won't work either. I don't know they think so highly of you. It's better to be an admiral. As long as the ship girl is awakened from the steel, she can live a life of soft food. What he said was really irritating. Sugu looked ugly and couldn't help but take a deep breath. He thought to himself, I have been working hard. It's just a pity that gold will shine, but stones will never shine. If he had not come to this world, he might still be working as a clerk in some company, and he might be promoted to the middle level many years later. The worst case scenario is to open a shop at home in the countryside. Or be a civil servant, remain a department member for life, or be lucky enough to reach the deputy or department level before retirement. Nowadays, I feel that apart from the serious work every day, I only have 5 companions, eating, drinking, playing, chatting and sleeping with me. Well, there's definitely a lot to like. He has a good temper, doesn't get angry easily, and doesn't hold grudges. Sweet talk is powerful if you let it. I can tell stories to the little lowly all day long without stopping. I have experienced the era of internet explosion, I have gone to college, and I stand on the shoulders of giants. At least compared to people in this world, I can say that I am well informed. It can be said to be worlds apart from Missouri. You can discuss novels with Dai Feng. The protagonist's surname must be Lin, Ye, or Xiao. Names like Long, Xianyuan, Nangong, and Dongfang are outdated. You can discuss the book with Bazai. The painting style must be fleshy to be attractive. You can even discuss the law with Washington. For example, should human traffickers be killed? Throwing objects from high altitudes can injure people. Is it appropriate to sit even while sitting? Legal principles and human relations, etc. Seeing his admiral being defeated, Lexington was amused. She hesitated to retaliate, she wanted to retort, as a well-behaved little maid, the admiral is the best. No matter what you do, there is a deep meaning in it. Saratoga glared at Bulletin Tiao, her meaning was obvious, my brother-in-law is terrible and super coward. But only we can say, you can't. She was really not a shy girl. She walked up to Sugu and patted his chest, although you don't meet my requirements, since you agreed, you can't go back on it. It doesn't matter, I will train you to be a good person, an outstanding admiral, good men are all trained by women. Good now, Lexington's eyes narrowed, and she looked dangerously at Dowdu. I don't need your training. The admiral doesn't need to be very powerful. Anyway, having everyone is enough. Even if he is a waste, it doesn't matter. On the contrary, it will be better. Rubbing his forehead, he really didn't know what to say. Sugu sighed, and said directly, "If you are willing to join the garrison, I naturally agree. As an admiral, there is no way to refuse the ship girl. But there is a saying, your way of speaking must be changed. Otherwise, it will still be like this. If so, I have no choice but to refuse. Don't mind if I speak a little harshly. You won't make friends even in the garrison with your way of speaking. If you are always self-righteous and pointing fingers, everyone will not be happy." Sugu thought to himself that Long Xiang was the same, but if she, a little girl, dared to chatter around, no one would hold her back. It doesn't matter if you can't speak, just being easy to bully is enough. He looked as if he was not scratching his head and lowered his head. If it were you, it wouldn't be easy for anyone to do anything like this, they would just have to hold it back. Bulletin Tiao frowned, "Is it that exaggerated? Do you really have no idea whether you can speak or not?" Of course Daifeng stood by and joined in the fun, but she couldn't help it. In that case Buko walked to Daifeng's side, "Then please teach me how to speak well." Daifeng paused, "Why should I teach you?" Buduo suddenly got close to Daifeng and kissed her cheek, "That's okay." Sugu was stunned. Daifeng covered the left side of her face, her eyes widened, she was completely confused. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 809. First of all, this is a side story and has nothing to do with the main story. Do not substitute it into the main text. Originally I planned to write a chapter in the evening, but I went to pay New Year greetings today, and I didn't have enough time, so I had to make an extra chapter. The sound of drums, gongs, firecrackers, dong dong dong, bang bang, crackle. The silver-haired girl was wearing a white dress and a wide-brimmed hat, standing under the eaves of a busy street, standing gracefully. With her hands behind her back and her head looking up into the distance, she seemed to be waiting for someone. She must be a lover, you can tell from the smile on her lips. Suddenly a pair of men's arms wrapped around the girl and hugged her. "Does the lion dance look good?" Hearing the familiar voice that she had been thinking about day and night, the girl's smile became bright, even warmer than the winter Sunday. She grabbed the hands and said, "It looks good." I remembered that in the past, there was also a lion dance team in our countryside. In addition to the lion dance team, there were also people playing monkeys and arhuts, some holding flags, some carrying lanterns, and some dancing swords. Those who carried the lanterns were all middle-aged ladies. I went to raise the flag. I followed for a long time, and finally had a meal and received a bag of candy, and then I never went again. The girl asked curiously, "Do you think the things you gave me are too few?" "No, it's definitely not the reason." "Well, I can't remember the reason." "Probably, because we don't do lion dance every year, we have lion dance this year, and we have to wait several years for the next time. So it must be because of my age. I don't think I'm interested anymore." The man who spoke was wearing casual clothes. If there was an admiral here, he would definitely be able to recognize him. The most hateful guy in the world, the SEAL Admiral Sugu, who likes to show off people the most. No one here is raising flags, no one is carrying lamps, and no one is dancing swords. The girl smiled particularly charmingly, and her voice was soft and endearing. However, if there is a knowledgeable person here, he will definitely not like her when he sees her. After all, that is the terrifying fortress Princess Pachina entrenched in the depths of the sea. Haven't appeared in a long time, don't know why it appears here. Sorry, Pachina, I'm late. Sugu sniffed the fragrance of Pachina's hair. It doesn't matter. After Pachina finished speaking, she felt a little resentful. How could I like such a person? Sugu said, I asked you to come to the guard house, but you have to face it, and you don't want to. If they know about my existence, you will definitely get beaten up. Sugu said affectionately, even if she is beaten to death, I don't want to see Pachina waiting anymore. Waiting is also a kind of happiness, Pachina said. Put the numbers on your fingers and draw a circle on the calendar. 1 day, 2 days, and 3 days, he will come today. 2 days and 3 days, he will come today. Sugu hugged Pachina with all his strength. The girl made people pity. Actually, they already know about you. It's okay to know or not to know, Pachina smiled proudly, but it seemed a bit forced to anyone who looked at it. It feels great to think about it. The person I love the most abandoned a woman from the guardhouse and came to me. I am the favorite girl in the world. As the deep-sea flagship, I can finally defeat those ship girls. Sugu rubbed Pachina's hair. I like Pachina the most, the cutest in the world. Pachina nodded thoughtfully. Didn't you say that Zai is the cutest in the world? It's tied. Sugu's expression didn't change. Someone really said that shamelessly, Pachina said, but what can I do? I just like him so much. I like such a shameless person. I want to be with him every day, in the morning, at noon, and at night. I'm really sorry, Sugu apologized again. The girl's deep affection made people feel guilty. I had to accompany them on New Year's Eve, the 1st, 2nd and 3rd day of the Lunar New Year. I didn't find the time until today. Can't spare the time, Pachina said suddenly. What about Ryajo, Ziwakaku, and Yamato? Sugu was really surprised. How do you know? Of course I know, Pachina snorted and patted Sugu's chest. Pervert husband. Sugu said, just say Ziwakaku, Yamato, Ryajo is still a girl. Pachina said, I am also a girl, and you are not. Sugu thought of what happened on Christmas Eve. It felt like it was yesterday. It was obviously someone who seduced me. Pachina smiled sweetly. That was the best day. Sugu thought of something. He took out a red envelope from his pocket and said, everyone has it. I haven't given Pachina any lucky money yet. Pachina didn't answer. She said, I don't want it. I know Pachina is not short of money, but this is my intention. It's not that I don't want it, Pachina said. I don't want this, I want that. Which one is that? Pachina stuck out the tip of her tongue and licked her lips, spread her fingers. She was very charming anyway. 5 times, I want 5 times. Sugu paused, then realized what he was doing, and smiled contemptuously. Only 5 times. 10 times, okay. Good. Sugu looked around and said, the lion dance team has left. Let's catch up quickly. Don't you want to see the lion dance? Maybe there will be a stack of arhats to watch later. It's very exciting. Don't change the subject, Pachina said. I have already booked a room. What do you think of Juserji? Sugu said. You are Juserji. Pachina chuckled. You must be scared. The fish is what I want, the bear's paw is also what I want. You cannot have both, for you would give up the fish and take the bear's paw. Life is also what I want, righteousness is also what I want. Both of them, you can't have it both ways, and you will sacrifice your life for justice. Sugu picked up Princess Pachina, and Pachina put her hands around his neck. In the evening, Sugu returned to the governor's mansion, his steps empty. After guarding someone until he had entered the garrison, Pachina left and returned to the sea. I congratulate you on getting rich. I congratulate you on your brilliance. The best come here. If you are not good, please go away. Oh, it's not surprising that there are so many people. Pachina was humming. At this moment, she heard a faint voice behind her. Pachina, so you are here. I have been looking for you for a long time. Pachina's heart tightened. She turned her head little by little and saw the man wearing a black crown on his head, with long silver hair. The ship's uniform looked like a black metal scorpion tail, but the poisonous hook turned into a ferocious cannon. She shivered. "Savoy, Sister Savoy, why are you here?" Black stroppy sandals stepped on the sea, making ripples in circles. Savoy said, "Pacina, it turns out you still remember me." "Of course I remember." Pacina smiled dryly. That was her sister, who also belonged to Fortress G. Savoy said, "I heard that you and the human admiral are on good terms." Pacina shouted, "You can't hurt him." Savoy reached to his lips and licked his fingertips with his tongue, looking bloodthirsty. "That man, I will go find him." Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 810. Dai Feng, what's wrong with you? Buletin now just kissed her and walked away. When Ruhi saw Dai Feng falling into a daze, he stretched out his hand and waved his fingers in front of her. However, Dai Feng didn't blink or react. He didn't know what he was thinking. Buduo walked away from Dai Feng and said to Sugu. Dai Feng agreed. "That's good." Dai Feng didn't agree. She didn't say anything. "Putting aside the fact that you are acting like a hooligan, girl, are you too self-righteous, thinking that a kiss can do anything?" Thinking like this, Sugu really didn't know what to say. He looked at the thin and red lips again, which were extremely attractive. "Bastard, I say that with envy. Kiss me, whatever I promise you." "Wake up." Ruhi pushed Dai Feng's shoulder, using a little more strength. After shaking his body, Dai Feng finally came to his senses. She heard Bunyo's words and quickly said loudly, "I didn't agree, why are you looking for me?" "You must be very good at it." Buduo thought of Dai Feng's words, which made people face this problem. "Maybe I am a good person, but I am also a bad person. Just because your intentions are good, you can be unscrupulous. So that's it, I don't have many friends at all and I'm not likable. I'm not good at it." Dai Feng wiped her face hard, rubbed it, and said, "Don't look for me anyway." Even if he wanted to change, his tone was still so self-righteous, and he asked without hesitation, "Then who should I look for?" Dai Feng looked around and decided to talk to someone casually. She saw Sugu at a glance. In the guard house, everyone can bully the admiral. If anything happens, they can blame him. "Our admiral, you should go to him." In fact, if I want to say who is the best at talking and making people likable when talking, it is of course Lexington. Decathlon, as long as you think about it, you can do anything with great reputation as a maid. Wear a maid outfit and become the head maid. Wearing a suit is a white-collar job. Wearing glasses is a teacher. In contrast, even though Washington was legally blonde, the debate was okay. Missouri is even worse, she is a madam. Sugu found that Buletin Tiao was looking at him, which was an unreasonable disaster. He would retaliate. "Me? What can I do?" "Dai Feng, it's you again. After all, guarding the mansion, let me think about it, you Japanese are best at that, don't cause trouble to others. How to use honorifics, and bowing. Then, anyway, you are the most suitable. It's not just revenge, there's still some truth in it." To be honest, in Sugu's mind, Japanese people are the most polite among all people. Although it's just on the surface, like wearing a mask, it's actually quite cold underneath. "I don't want to cause trouble to others, and I really hate it when others cause trouble to me. The spirit of craftsmanship means that no matter what you do wrong, just bow down and it will be fine." Naturally knowing what Sugu was thinking, Dai Feng waved his hand. No, I can't do it, I can't do it." "How can a woman say no?" Sugu suddenly became serious. "Well, Dai Feng was a little confused for a moment, and the people around him were laughing so hard. Seeing that Dai Feng's face turned red and he was about to become angry, Sugu looked around and coughed, "Okay, it's Daifeng. You and Buduo are familiar with each other. As the saying goes, we don't know each other without fighting." Prince of Wales, Counterattack, Missouri. Daifeng read over them one by one. Sugu still knew a little bit about how to deal with Tsundere. He praised, "But they are not as good as you." Daifeng lowered his head and brushed his bangs. He didn't know how to refuse. He wanted to just agree, but he couldn't speak. It's not that she's still complaining, it's mainly because she's not good at it. Forget it if you don't want to. There's no need to force it. I'm just the kind of person who makes people annoying. Daifeng hesitated, but still wanted to save face. Seeing the disappointment, Daifeng quickly said, "It's not that I don't want to, it's mainly because I feel like I'm not good at speaking well myself, and it's even harder to teach others." Sugu waved his hand, indicating that this was nothing more than a minor problem. "Try it first, and if it doesn't work, then talk about it. If that's the case, there's no problem in letting me teach you." Daifeng looked at Bulletin Tiao and suddenly snickered. He still thinks about it now. "Remind you, I am a very strict instructor. If you don't care about repeated teachings, I can hit people." Sugu didn't know what to say better. Although Bulletin now said he wanted to join the garrison, he was so unfamiliar with him now that he really couldn't show off his qualities as an admiral. It was Missouri who intervened. "Fight, just fight." Bujo looked at Missouri coldly. She had known Missouri for a long time, and this guy's character was even worse than before. Daifeng also became self-righteous. She didn't wait for Bush's answer and nodded to herself. "That's it? I asked Tianlong to pick up a ruler, hit the palms of his hands, and tap his forehead, ha ha ha." Daifeng looked around, and she remembered that Tianlong and Long Tian were also here. Bulletin Nyo asked Sugu, "So, is this okay?" "Of course we welcome you if you want." Bunyo had already spoken to this point and was willing to correct it, but Sugu had nothing to say. If there is a problem, there is only one. Beizai has said many times that she must work hard to become the lonely queen of the north, but unfortunately she only worked hard for a second. "Every time I fall down, I dream that I will be careful and will not make such a problem again. But don't talk about it the next day. You will forget what you said within an hour." The bald eagle Belmacan specially trained dumpling Essex. If he wanted to get a ring, he could not be sultry but must be slutty. In the end, he just turned the dumplings into pot stickers and got knocked on the head. Glorious special training. He can't be so weak anymore, he must become strong, and he can't be bullied anymore. After several days, Kent said he had grown. At that time, someone snatched the big tiger away, and I burst into tears. The character of a ship girl is quite difficult to correct and her nature is hard to change. Then, if Bulletin Ni has never been able to learn to speak well, it seems that he will be dismissed like an ordinary company treats interns. After all, he is considered the number one person. Not only is he powerful, but he is also considered a very powerful person in the ship girl headquarters, even though his status is a little lower than that of the company. To be honest, Sugu was still a little curious. "I have already said that even if you lose, there is no need to force yourself to join the garrison." Bulletin Tiao said, "Do what you say." "Are you really that careless?" Sugu said, "If you join the town guard, you won't be able to leave again. It's not a big deal. Even if I join the garrison, if I want to leave, who can stop me?" Bulletin Tiao smiled, and she was open-minded. When a ship girl joins the garrison, she can actually leave the garrison or even switch to another garrison. There is no magic contract. If you do it you will die, or it doesn't matter, it mainly depends on your own heart. Of course, the former is unless the admiral is really bad, which is a rare occurrence in the whole world. The latter situation has not occurred so far. Sugu didn't have so many ideas. He nodded, yes. When Bulletin Tiao saw his surroundings, he was suddenly stunned. I saw Missouri, Prince of Wales, Saratoga, Hindenburg, Lexington, Akagia, it seemed like no one could stop me. All in all, Buduo decided to join the town guard, and Daifeng was responsible for teaching her to speak well. And then it was several days later. There are stone tables and benches under the big banyan tree outside the warehouse. Daifeng likes to be here. She actually found a ruler and came over, looking at it without scratching it, waving it every now and then. Say more honorifics and greetings like thank you, sorry for bothering you, and excuse me. Never say didn't you hear me calling you just now. None of these, or anything like that. People laugh at themselves. Many people like to laugh at themselves. This is a sign of humility. So when others laugh at themselves, you must not echo them. For example, when others say, I am so fat, you must not say, yeah. You are too fat and you still eat so much, which will make others feel embarrassed and uncomfortable, and will also make people think that your words are thorny and they will not want to communicate with you more. Don't be so honest and say whatever comes to mind. Well, you must be dishonest. Learn to answer questions tactfully and cleverly. For example, if someone asks you am I fat, even if you are really fat, like South Dakota, don't just say fat, just say plump. Remind you, London don't eat the food, it's for the sake of your life. The food she cooked is still very unpalatable. If she asks you how is it, you can say it's delicious and the taste is very unique. That's it, draw inferences from one example to other cases. Don't laugh at what other people like. Everyone has different tastes and hobbies, which means the things we like may vary greatly. You don't have to like other people's preferences, but you must respect them. Daifeng rambled on for a long time, and Buletin Tiao said, I understand. Boys can be taught. Daifeng nodded, now let me test you, I am a passerby. If you ask me for directions, what should you say? Being childish, Buko chuckled, hello, excuse me, how do I get here? I always feel like something is wrong. Daifeng frowned, but unfortunately he couldn't figure out what the problem was. Forget it, let's go to the next question. Veneto, you know, that fake Lolita. She's short and has super flat chest. It's better to say nothing at all. I drink milk and eat papaya every day, but it has no effect at all. If she asks you if your breasts are flat, how would you answer? Buki held his face with one hand and said, definitely smaller than the Prince of Wales. Incredible. The monthly salary is 2,000 yuan, which can be said to be less than 10,000 yuan. Daifeng looked at the playground not far away. Look at the group of little Lolita playing there. The one with short pink hair is Xiaozai, the young Turpitz, very strong. The one next to him is Xiao Luo, the young Rhodes Ni. If they come to you and ask you which one of them is cuter, how should you answer? Buletin now said, Xiao Luo is still well behaved, and Xiao Zai is still energetic. Daifeng pouted, Xiao Zai is the cutest in the world, this is the tone. Dark story? Imperial order. Can't you really see it? Daifeng said, how cute is Xiao Zai? Buletin Yo took another look, and no one could refuse Xiao Zai. Yes, Xiao Zai is the cutest in the world. Daifeng asked a few more questions, and Buduo answered them smoothly. As long as he pays more attention, he can definitely speak well. Daifeng discovered the most critical problem. She waved her ruler and said, don't hit the smiling person with your hand. It's definitely not your kind of sneer or chuckle. Your kind of smile seems to look down on people, it's too sarcastic, you smile first. Buletin Tiao showed a smile. Daifeng shook his head, this won't work. Busha shrugged and spread his hands, I tried my best. 8 teeth. Daifeng thought for a while, when you smile, you show 8 teeth. 8 teeth on the top, or 4 teeth on the top and bottom? I don't know. Daifeng decided to demonstrate, look, let me smile like this. First, stretch your eyebrows and raise them upward. Squint your eyes slightly. Raise the corners of your mouth and pout slightly. Being natural is better than anything else, and smiling deliberately seems a bit fake. When Bulletin Tiao saw Daifeng's weird smile, she chuckled and took a sip from the black teacup. Only a moment later, Daifeng came to her senses. She read the expression on her face that meant this guy is so stupid. She thought about it and realized that what she did was really stupid, so she picked up the ruler. I've learned, I know what to do. It's not at the same level at all. With a casual word, Daifeng suddenly had nowhere to go. Forget it, you should practice more in private to make me laugh, Daifeng said seriously. The tone of your words is wrong. It always sounds like you are self-righteous, condescending, too arrogant, and too contemptuous. You have to know, sometimes, tone is more important than the language itself. Bulletin Tiao looked at Daifeng in amusement. Yeah. Daifeng said nothing. Then what? After waiting for a while, he asked. What? I asked how to change it. Daifeng nodded seriously. I don't know either. Bulletin Tuo was surprised. An idea flashed in Daifeng's mind, and she nodded thoughtfully. She remembered that in those novels, those high-ranking young ladies couldn't speak well. Only when they were down and had nothing, would they correct themselves. Don't give up, starting from tomorrow, you put me in a maid uniform and go to work in a coffee shop. No matter who, don't refuse what you are asked to do. Then follow the reputation and fight back to clean the house and fold clothes and quilts. Finally, you have to go to the canteen to be a waiter and serve everyone food. First, accept your character, you can't do this. Bulletin Shu narrowed his eyes, a little unwillingly. Maid. Yes, it's a maid, Daifeng said, and you're going to be a destroyer teacher. Daifeng thought to himself that the little guys in the guardhouse were not afraid of anything. They were good to you and they were good to you. If you don't treat them well and don't talk nicely to them, they will make you angry to death. Each of them will be more mouthy than the other, especially if Long Xiang is here. After some hard work, you will know that you are wrong. All right. Daifeng said, I will supervise you. That's how the perseverance in practice began. Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 811. Weak chicken. Next one under the shade of the tree, Sugu turned his neck and made a clicking sound. What a joy to win again. South Dakota put down her ping-pong paddle and walked away with a sullen expression, her mood slightly bad. A grown man knows what to say when bullying a girl. He is a wedding ship with a ring, a rare existence guarding the mansion. As an admiral and a husband, I don't know how to give in to my favorite wife. There are actually several table tennis tables here, but only one is being played. I'm done. After South Dakota's disastrous defeat, Guam was sitting on the table tennis table next to her. She jumped down and quickly ran to South Dakota's position. However, she is very good as a keyboard player, so forget it as a table tennis player. Sugu sneered, weak. It's me this time. It was Tennessee's turn. You talk about how good you are, Sugu said. I admit that you are good at basketball, forget about table tennis. I liked table tennis when I was in elementary school, and also quite fond of it in junior high school. I rarely played it in high school, and I haven't played it since college. Playing computer games every day, dedicated to eradicating the undead and natural disasters. The only pity is that the guild group is relatively weak. Even the professors can't beat them, and the most they can do is the Green Dragon. Come to this world, a place lacking in entertainment. I finally understand why people in the past gave birth to so many children. In short, I picked up table tennis again. Although his level is not very powerful, he can be said to be at the level of a great devil in the garrison. Sure enough, Tennessee fell down without holding on for 2 more rounds. It was a complete crushing. After winning many times in a row, he felt lonely and wanted to lose. Sugu put down his racket and said, let's go. I won't fight with you. You can continue to peck each other like noobs. You're still giggling, I didn't ask you to play in the first place, Guam muttered. I thought to myself that everyone was of the same level and having a great time, but who came over on his own? Basketball, football, volleyball, rugby, baseball, running, surfing, fighting. Tennessee was a little unconvinced. She pushed back her bangs and looked handsome with short hair. She was originally wearing neutral clothes. If the lines of her face were not a little softer and her chest was still plump, she could be said to be a handsome guy. Admiral, just pick anyone. Haha. It's just 102 speeds, hold California's waist and don't let go. Are you that scared? Or are you taking the opportunity to act like a gangster? Sugu Ding Ding looked at Tennessee and thought about it for a moment. Philosophy, history, drawing, electrician, music, tactical deduction, cooking, you just pick one. Tennessee has the self-awareness to say, we talk about sports. Who told you about sports? Sugu smiled contemptuously and calmed down the situation easily. Guam felt something was wrong from the beginning and didn't know where to start. It wasn't until Sugu walked away that she thought about it. I don't know anything else, but I am certain that my admiral is tone deaf. It is common for a song to be out of tune, and it is also common for a song to get stuck in the middle of singing. What qualifications do you have to talk about music? I know that my cooking skills are barely above par, although he can't compare with Xiaozai. After so long, he has also eaten his fried late-night snacks, and his level is completely incompetent in front of Yuxian, so he just eats a sentiment. It couldn't be more refreshing to pretend to be cool and run away, so Sugu went to the coffee shop. As soon as he entered the door, he saw Missouri sitting on a high stool and lying on the bar with his head resting on his forearms. Bulletin Tiao was wearing a maid outfit and standing behind the bar. The two seemed to be talking. They glanced at themselves and turned away without saying anything more. The person playing in the cafe today is from Belfast. The melodious sound of bagpipes makes people feel as if they are in the Scottish countryside. Birds sang in the treetops, and the golden waves of wheat rose and fell in the breeze. Sugu looked around and saw Beizai hugging a pillow, curled up in a ball, sleeping on the booth sofa and reading comics, and immediately walked over. Beizai was so cute that Sugu pinched her cheek. Beizai was a little impatient and said, "Admiral, you are so annoying." Sugu was not annoyed. What comics should I read? You don't like to see it? Beizai didn't want to give it at all. Someone else would have handed over the comic and explained it carefully. Only Beizai didn't care about Sugu at all. Not to mention bullying Kent. Bullying Beizai is also something he likes a lot. When Sugu wanted to snatch the comic directly, Missouri came over at this time and said funnily, "You really like Beizai, you don't hesitate when you see her. She is obviously just a lazy, dead, fat, abandoned house." Beizai doesn't care at all, no matter what you say. If he hadn't ridiculed her that day, I'm afraid he would only get an expression like "you are an idiot." However, Bismarck would probably go crazy, and my sister would never tolerate insults. Sugu stroked Beizai's medium-length pink hair and said, "Although what you said is true, Beizai is cute." Missouri leaned on the single sofa, "It's so shallow. But if you're so cute, there's no way to refuse." Sugu pinched Beizai's face again, but was slapped away again. He looked at Missouri, "You don't want to chat with Buduo anymore?" Missouri replied, "She's in trouble." "Why did you come here?" "No." "Okay." Missouri took a piece of financier and asked for a bite, then suddenly said, "When I just came in, I noticed that you glanced at Bulletin Tiao several times. She is very beautiful." Beautiful? Beizai didn't need to care. In front of Missouri, Sugu seldom pretended, mainly because it was useless, he said sincerely. Although the figure is not as explosive as the Prince of Wales, Helena, and others, the indomitable figure is in line with the aesthetics of most people. She has long, silky black hair that reaches her waist, delicate facial features, and a well-placed tear mole. She is really a beautiful girl when paired with a maid outfit. We lost to Indomitable, Missouri said. If a man doesn't look at himself, he will look at another woman anyway, right? Sugu was greatly surprised. He didn't know much about Missouri. You actually didn't say, you have been looking at her, do you have thoughts about her? Missouri smiled. She really wanted to say that, so she asked, do you have any thoughts about her? No, Sugu waved his hand. Whether he believed it or not was another matter for Missouri, but his attitude remained the same. Then why do you keep looking at her? You said she is beautiful. Otherwise, if you don't look at her, how can you look at you? Missouri lifted one side of her long hair, smiled charmingly, blinked her left eye and said, say it again. It must be admitted that Missouri has the talent of an actor, but Sugu still said, it's artificial and disgusting. Missouri slapped the table, I hit someone. Sugu shook his legs, Bizai, someone wants to hit me. Just fight. Bizai had no interest in joining in the fun, Sugu was a little discouraged, and Missouri laughed. This was several days after Buletin became a maid. Sugu recalled that he was confused when he first saw her when he entered the coffee shop and heard the welcome, I have always been curious, how did Buletin become a maid? Ask Daifeng, Missouri said. I asked. Sugu asked Daifeng on the first day and listened to her explain her thoughts carefully. In fact, I originally wanted to arrange Buletin to go to a Kaohsiung noodle shop, but there was really no business there. Fortunately, many people eat hot pot in winter, whether it is malatang or oden, they are very popular. Nowadays, the weather is hot and there are no cold drinks. Except for a few people eating ramen in the morning, noon, and evening, there are not many people at all other times. There is no need for a maid at all. Shinano has recently persuaded her to quit, so the whole family can handle it. Not even the whole family was needed. Except for Chumi, who was lying on the counter with a fan blowing and looking at the store, everyone ran away. Kaohsiung specially packed up a room as a training room and went to practice Iaidu, Yanhui, and Kyuzuryuo. Okay, that's just nonsense. Atago wore a white yukata and practiced flower arrangement with Shokaku. Maya had nothing to do, chatting here and there. Sugu remembered that he gave Daifeng a few suggestions and later heard her yelling. Miss Buletin, what's wrong? No, you can't even use such a simple shaved ice machine? It's really clumsy. Please, call me Sister Daifeng, and I can teach you. Take the ice cubes out of the freezer, and then put them on the ice shaver to fix them. Do you need me to tell you how to fix them? Up, turn there. You can't be so stupid, right? Turn it clockwise, and it will loosen it counterclockwise. Okay, now it's fixed, what should I do next? Why do you feel so stupid? Hurry up and put the plate under that. I really don't want to teach you anymore, it's just like an elm head. Move the dice. For a moment. Grab the handle next to it and turn it. Put the egg rolls up, put them at the front. Hey, what are you still thinking about? Pour the chocolate sauce and condensed milk on top, or else will you eat ice? Ha ha ha, what an ugly banana split. If you put this kind of inferior product outside, you can only sell it at a discount. Is there anything we should pay attention to, Kant? Oh, I see, you are so stubborn. You are really weak. You don't even know this kind of thing. Oh, that's what the delicate young lady is like. She deserves a beating, she deserves a beating. Training. I tell you, wipe it with a damp cloth first to remove the dirt. Then wipe it with a dry cloth, otherwise water stains will appear. What do you think you're doing? I'm telling you what to do with good intentions, but you don't even have a smile on your face. You're going to suffer a lot in the future with your temper. You know it's annoying. After thinking a lot, Sugu laughed and leaned on the sofa. Remember that Bulletin Tiao used to work in, where did he work? Missouri replied, Lotus City Department. Lotus City branch of the Ship Girl branch. What kind of level is it? At least the city level. Although it is not the biggest one, it can still be regarded as holding an important position. It is a big shot. How can you put on a maid costume and serve tea as a maid? Water. Sugu clearly remembered how arrogant Baneo was when he first came here. The prestige is still that of a big company manager, Missouri said. The reputation is different, Sugu said. It's a matter of nature, it's a matter of appearance. Do you think Enterprise wears maid uniforms? Missouri said. Enterprise's position is much higher than hers. Has Enterprise also worn it? Sugu remembered that every time she saw Enterprise, she was not dressed very seriously, just a shirt, jeans, and high heels. If it were her, it would feel normal to put on a maid outfit, and there would be nothing wrong with her style. It's just that her legs are the best, but the big skirt of her maid uniform blocks her legs. Missouri shook her head. I haven't worn it. You. Baring his teeth, Sugu wanted to hit someone. Missouri suddenly snickered and said, she wore Christmas clothes and carried Christmas gifts to give out gifts to everyone. Let me tell you, she looked super cute. Sugu thought to himself that he would not be willing to invite her to the governor's mansion every time. No matter whether it is Children's Day, Christmas, or New Year, there is never a single invitation. The giant elephant is much easier to handle and is always on call. In short, the company belongs to the company. I feel that her personality is very casual and unyielding. I still can't figure it out. How could she be willing to be a maid? It's not a big deal even if you become a maid, it's such a big idea. Being a maid in the governor's house is fun. In fact, you play the role of a sister who takes care of people. It's very fulfilling, and so on. Missouri suddenly thought of something, and she fell silent. After a while, he suddenly said, I know, love must be love. Sugu said, what a mess. Isn't that kind of plot often seen in novels? Missouri coughed. The heroine looked down on the hero at first and often bullied him. Suddenly one day the hero counterattacked, and then the heroine got wet after a lot of talk. It goes straight to her soul. In that case, Missouri held her chin in her palm. It will be explained later. Why did you ask Daifeng to teach her how to speak well? You even kissed Daifeng. You have to know, we haven't told her how powerful we are before. She owed it, and she had to change it, but she didn't. But she came to Daifeng and changed it sincerely. So, love is all because of love. It seems to make some sense. Beizai suddenly burst into laughter, and she spoke, don't scratch your yellow hair, Admiral, the master of suffering. Try saying it again. Sugu grabbed Beizai's chin. Yeah, Daifeng and I have nothing to do with each other. She is your ship's wife, doesn't it matter? Missouri said, which admiral doesn't regard the ship's wife as a forbidden concubine, guarding her tightly and never allowing others to interfere with her? Then the question comes, Sugu thought thoughtfully, is it too late to persuade him to retreat now? Persuading them to retreat, Missouri pretended to be puzzled. Don't you want to push Bunyo down as well? It doesn't matter. Good idea. Sugu was naturally joking. He asked, I have been a maid for a few days. Is it effective? Missouri said, a little bit, but it doesn't seem like it. Correcting a person's bad habits really doesn't happen in a short time. The perseverance in practice continues. Time flies by quickly, and it's soon mid-July. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 812. My life is all thanks to air conditioning. On a hot summer day, it's great to have air conditioning. Although compared to sitting under the cool shade of a tree with a cold juice in hand and enjoying the wind blowing from a distance, there are still many shortcomings. Not only that, turning on the air conditioner also has a major disadvantage, that is, the room must be sealed and the doors and windows must be closed. It's a pity that I can't lie down on the windowsill and look at the sea in the distance. She wore white sandals, a sleeveless plain dress, and her long, silky pink hair fell on her shoulders and draped behind her. Exeter held the side of her face with one hand, sitting on a wicker chair by the window of the cafe and looking out the window. She felt a little disappointed. "Old sister," a voice suddenly sounded. Sister Exeter saw her sister York sitting down opposite her. She lifted her long hair and tucked it behind her ears and shouted softly. York held his cheeks in his hands and shook his head. "Let me tell you, a guest just came to the town hall." Because of various things, people from the town hall occasionally came to visit. "Oh," Exeter just responded, looking at the blue sky. "Don't you care about what happened?" York thought for a while. "When I passed by the office, I heard the Admiral say impatiently, 'I said it, I have said it. If you have any questions, you should go to the ship girl first.' The headquarters reported that there was no use in finding me directly. I was not a savior." After saying that, he asked Lexington to see the guest off, saying that I had something to do, so that was it. The guest was still a girl, and she was not polite at all. "I think people are almost crying." Exeter said, "Don't worry so much, the Admiral has his own considerations." "I know, so I didn't care so much," York said. Later, when I passed by the office again, I saw the Admiral sitting on the sofa, looking very troubled. Lexington stood behind him and rubbed him shoulder. "Think about it, no matter what happened, it must be difficult for him." I asked him what happened. He didn't say anything and said it was nothing. "You can't be of much help," Exeter said bluntly. "Life in the Tutlarry mansion sometimes feels quite powerless. No matter what happens in the garrison, the Admiral, Lexington, Reputation, and the others will take care of it. Everyone stayed in the garrison, there were no sorties, and there were very few expeditions. After all, their strength was too bad. Nothing to do, nothing to help, just enjoy. Although there is no way to help him solve the problem, it's okay to comfort and enlighten him. His previous job was similar to that of a psychiatrist, guiding admirals and shipwives, so he was still somewhat confident in this aspect." York said he didn't know what to think, and slowly stretched out a hand to poke his sister's chest, which felt so bulgy. Exeter just watched her sister poke her chest with her fingers, and she took a deep breath. After all, she was a girl with a gentle personality. She didn't pick up the book on the table and throw it at her sister. "You can go and sacrifice yourself. It's better if you go." How did the topic turn into this? Thinking like this, Exeter noticed his Admiral entering the coffee shop out of the corner of his eye. Even though he only had a slight liking for him, he was still a little fanciful. Stupid, she rubbed her forehead, but once some thoughts took root, they could never be stopped, at least for now. Until she saw her Admiral sitting down at a table, she never looked over. Archer fish, Sugu really wanted to take off his clothes and put them on the Archer fish, who did this. Of course it was not that he had been violated, that he was in ragged clothes and crying. Even a little girl is a submarine. Although it is much weaker than a battleship, bending a steel bar as thick as a finger is trivial. Ordinary people are definitely no match. The Archerfish blinked, a little confused. What did the Admiral say? Nothing. Sugu coughed and waved his hand. After working for a long time in the morning, I came to the coffee shop at noon. Just as I sat down, I heard a voice. When I turned around, I was shocked. I saw a little girl, Archerfish, holding a tray in one hand. She was wearing black stockings, a black bikini, and a black bow tie. Her ponytail hairband was raised up like rabbit ears. "Did you say this, the archer fish responded. She touched the bunny ears headband on her head, which she asked Sister Raider to tie. But not just any headband will do. Steel wire must be sewn inside the headband, otherwise it won't be able to stand up. She touched the fluffy ball on her butt again, which was the rabbit's tail, and smiled. Yeah, now the archer fish is no longer an archer fish, but now it's an archer rabbit. The admiral looked a little troubled, so he asked the archer rabbit, let me comfort you. Whatever the admiral wants, give it all to the water rabbit. Sugu paused. If it were inside the room, and Reputation was wearing a bunny girl costume, she would have pounced on her. He looked left and right, lowered his head and looked up, hesitant. I had a lot of thoughts in my mind, such as how to make a dish with a playful expression. He said, ask me what you want, I'll just shoot the water rabbit. The archer fish didn't understand what Sugu meant. Sugu explained, I will shoot the water rabbit, and the water rabbit will accompany me. At some point, Atlanta appeared next to her, and she said loudly, guest, we are a serious place here, not a shabby place. Please don't harass our rabbit, don't touch her butt, she is not an escort. If you keep doing this, we'll have to kick you out. Well, it's not impossible. If you want Sakyamuni to accompany you, you have to pay more. Archerfish was a little shy, of course not because the admiral touched her butt, that was just Atlanta making it up. She just remembered what happened in the past, went on her own attack, and returned to the town after a big break. The ship's uniform was broken, and her bikini strings were all loose. She didn't even fix it or put her into good clothes. She even arranged for herself to become the secretary ship. The admiral said like a pervert, he could do anything. If Sugu knew what the archer fish was thinking, he would definitely cry out for injustice. How could he have thoughts about young girls, little Lolita, and little girls? He couldn't be any more pure. He just looked at Atlanta dangerously, and the girl was laughing and joking. Okay, you really wronged me, Missouri madam, you are the mother sang, how much is it? I have a lot of money. Atlanta opened his fingers, shook his fingers, and quoted a number. Sugu said, is it so expensive? It was clear that it was just a joke, but the admiral found it too expensive, and the archer fish pouted. Atlanta said confidently, of course, it's not Kent, the Raiders, or Princeton. We, the water rabbit, are still the cleaners. But first, I would like to remind guests that we do not provide rooms here. If you want, you can discuss with the water rabbit wherever you want. You're getting more and more exaggerated. Be careful. Sugu couldn't bear it any longer and hit Atlanta on the head with his fist. Archer fish was still a girl. Mango juice, I want a glass of mango juice. Archer fish, don't go. You go to Atlanta. Atlanta held her head in her hands. Why do you always get mango juice? Is it every time? Sugu said, then let's have a glass of iced Coke. With ice. Do not add. Large, medium, or small? Medium cup. Would you like some more chicken nuggets? No, Sugu said, stop being so nagging, let's go. Until Atlanta left and there was no one else left, advisor Sushot the fish, why did you come here? Archerfish replied, Sister Atlanta asked us to come over and help. Why do we need your help here? Atlanta is really messed up. Any personnel orders in the town hall were signed and arranged by Sugu. For example, Lexington served as the secretary ship, and the Prestige served as the chief housekeeper and maid. Warehouse management, purchasing, and canteen all have their own responsible persons, and they all require his approval. But in a place like a coffee shop, he is not needed. Even so, he still knows how many shop assistants there are when he comes here from time to time. There were already quite a few people there, but now another one has arrived, so there will be a shortage of people. The archer fish held up the tray. Actually, I thought it was very interesting, so I came here. It's summer vacation, there are no classes, and there is nothing to do. Aren't you going to do ocean research, consultant Sue? Archerfish likes to study the ocean, Sugu has known for a long time. When he returned to the governor's mansion, he helped her buy an aquarium. He even researched aquatic plants and found pumice stones in Chuangzhou for a long time. In addition, I gave away several copies of the Marine Encyclopedia. Speaking of which, the archerfish and the giant mackerel share a room, and there is a large aquarium in the corner of their room. Above the desk, there are many shells and corals in the cabinets, as well as various plant specimens and insect specimens. Of course, there are no animal specimens, they are too difficult to make. If you just soak it in formalin to preserve it, it would be too scary. Only a javelin can do this kind of thing. The archer fish said, even if you are an archer rabbit, don't delay doing ocean research. Sugu nodded, as if this was also the case. He asked again, why didn't you see the big mackerel? Didn't she come? The big blue and white fish is also very cute. What about the big blue and white rabbit? At this time, the archer fish began to say, Sister Atlanta dislikes her for being careless. If she is a receptionist, it would be bad if she breaks the cups and plates. Originally, she has a quick temper and likes to run around. And she also likes I ate something secretly, chocolates made by Sister Raider, snacks made by Sister Santiago. And ice cream, just the day before yesterday. I ate a lot secretly, holding my head and crying out in pain. I also have many hands and feet. Sister Emden kneaded the dough. Put it on the table, she always touches it and pokes it with her fingers. By the way, Sister Atlanta still dislikes her lack of figure. Well, actually I think it's better to be smaller, otherwise there will be a lot of resistance. Is it necessary to say so much? Didn't you really intend to blacken the big mackerel? Sugu narrowed his eyes and stared at the archer fish. However, I couldn't see anything wrong. There was no snickering or snickering. So archerfish is definitely not evil, she just didn't realize that much and she said something. Especially the last few sentences, how harmful it would be if the big mackerel heard them. After talking a lot in succession, archerfish finally finished. Consultant Sue, when did you come to the coffee shop? Yesterday, or in the morning? Morning. He doesn't go to the coffee shop every day. Sugu said, I didn't come to the coffee shop in the morning, and I didn't come yesterday either. Even though it's called a cafe, it has a lot of everything here. It could be called a bar. You can even order pasta. It can be said to be the most popular place in the Tutelary mansion. The archer fish asked curiously, is the admiral so busy? Of course I'm busy. Sugu felt a little guilty. Although sometimes it is very busy, most of the time it is quite leisurely. Isn't the admiral busy deepening the relationship with everyone? Archerfish smiled, the admiral is really a playboy. Sugu's face remained calm and his heart stopped beating. What nonsense are you talking about? I've been busy in the office this morning. What about the morning? I saw the admiral and Sister Ruhi holding hands, and I saw the admiral and Sister Guangrong talking while drinking coke. Both of them were very happy. Archerfish asked, the next Sister Richelieu, Sister Missouri, or Sister Washington? Or Sister Xianghe? It seems that the admiral has recently launched an offensive against Sister CV-16. Of course, Sugu didn't say anything. He rubbed his eyebrows. He was really bigger than the other kid. If you don't give it to them, I'd better give the ring to the archer fish, okay? If it's the admiral. The words behind the archer fish were as thin as a mosquito and could not be heard at all. The admiral is really a pervert. At this time, Atlanta brought an ice coke and pushed it in front of Sugu. She held her chin and looked at the archer fish again. She had to say that the figure of the archer fish was even more impressive than her own. Yes, the archer fish is not small anymore. It is completely edible. It must be delicious. Atlanta. Sugu suddenly laughed. Compared to boiling soup, it's really better to fry and braise fish. The sashimi is good. Sugu said, spicy and sour fish. I'm not a fish, said the archer fish. As I said, archer rabbit, I am archer rabbit. Then stir up the jade rabbit. I really enjoyed the service of archerfish, I can't say how wonderful it is. Of course, he didn't push it down or raise or lower his hands. In the afternoon, when Sugu walked out of the coffee shop, he had completely recovered his strength. Standing in the corridor, he saw Rodney, Venus, and Legion, sitting in a row on the bench under the phoenix tree. Although they are both young girls, Rodney and Kotaku unexpectedly can't play together. Thinking about it, it's no wonder that one of them is skinny and the other is quiet. Speaking of which, except when Nelson is mentioned in front of her, she will still feel depressed for a while. Otherwise, everything is fine. After walking through the corridor, Sugu thought about it. Nelson and Rodney had been away for a while and should have returned. It was late July when Nelson and Rodney returned to the garrison. Looking for the lost ship girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 813. Backpacks, trolley cases, and handbags. Nelson and Rodney brought these things with them when they returned to the townhouse. Sugu originally expected them to be like Tianlong and Ryuada, bringing the Megama sisters and Ryuxiang back to the garrison. Not to mention the Lion, Vanguard, or Queen Elizabeth, at least they brought Dadian, Lin Xian back to the garrison, but no one was there. It was only expected, just wishful thinking. They didn't have any information to begin with, otherwise they would have told the governor about it. The place where I live is just an ordinary city. There are not many outstanding places, no commendable scenery or local products. They will go there, that is, it is just the right time. It was obvious that there could not be anyone else who happened to be in the same city as them. Then again, forget it about everyone else. Sugu has always been surprised that Lion and Vanguard are so powerful but not famous at all. Especially with the character of a lion, he shouldn't just be doing an ordinary job. It happened that I collected intelligence everywhere, as well as Zeppelin, Enterprise, Missouri, and Bulletin NI, who had recently joined the garrison, and all the influential people in the circle of admirals and shipgirls helped, but there was still no news at all. Lin Xian said that she was originally with the Prince of Wales, but later left. However, London, who also left in search of delicious food, has been back in the garrison for so long, and she has no news at all. Did he never go back, so he didn't know that the Prince of Wales had returned to the garrison? It's just baffling. Amethyst once said that it would sink. She was naturally childlike, but unfortunately she was beaten and sent to Chongqing. Although the Dawn Goddess has been transformed and renamed to Chongqing, Lin Xian is still her sister. All in all, Nelson and Rodney returned to the townhouse normally, a few days later, and this was the beach outside the townhouse. Xiao Zai is kneeling on the beach. She is not building a sand castle, but drawing something with her fingers. Including her, there were also Fangxiang, Lafite, Mahan, and Karmicha, who was dressed like a gangster in sunglasses. They teamed up to make a huge circle on the ground, and drew many random letters in the middle. No one can recognize that one. If you look at it from a distance, you can see that it looks like a magic circle. After finally finishing the painting, Xiao Zai said, "Amethyst, it's your turn." Purple Quartz looked at the big hole in the center of the magic circle. She stretched out a hand to cover her eyes, and said in a secondary manner, "Are you really going to do it? If the power in my body is released, the whole world might be going to be destroyed. Are you fully prepared? Summon that evil existence and seal it away." "It's ready." Once summoned, it will be sealed into this watermelon. Zai patted the watermelon and made a bang 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 sound. Amethyst emphasized, "It's not a watermelon, it's the fruit of the sacred tree." Okay, Lafite couldn't wait any longer. She pushed amethyst quartz from behind and pushed amethyst quartz into the big hole. We all know, you can go down. Once again, amethyst was buried, and she shouted, Lafitte, it's your turn next time. No, Lafitte said. Just Lafitte. Xiaozai smiled. Lafitte was not happy. Then you will do it next time. The little loli is having fun here, but there is a faint conflict here. Helena walked across the beach and noticed Maryland looking at her. What are you looking at? I didn't see anything. Maryland was wearing a black bikini with a thin t-shirt on top. She looked away from Helena's chest. With a snort, Helena just asked casually. Of course she knew what Maryland was looking at. She straightened her chest calmly, then looked at Maryland's flat chest, and couldn't help but reveal a subtle smile. In fact, appearing on the beach already showed that Maryland didn't care that much. Otherwise, like Veneto, the beach is like a forbidden place among forbidden places. At other times, I still go for a walk once it's noon or afternoon, when everyone is swimming. I won't come even to death. Still, Maryland said, Helena, what are you laughing at? Nothing. Helena smiled happily. A long time ago, she already knew why those European admirals liked to show off African admirals so much, because it was cool. Feeling insulted, but unable to say anything, Maryland scratched his hair. At this time, Tennessee held the inflated volleyball and shouted loudly, Helena, do you want to play volleyball? You can play, I won't. Helena has no motor skills. When the opportunity came, Maryland's eyes lit up. Come on, Helena, let's play together. But Helena finally showed up. At this time, it was Maryland's turn to serve. She threw the air volleyball up, then jumped up, raised her hand and hit the air volleyball hard, aiming at Helena. She is not very good at sports, mainly because she did not expect Maryland to do such a thing. Before Helena could react, her head was hit hard. Maryland smiled and thought, smile, smile again and show me. Maryland. Helena picked up the volleyball and shrugged. Before long, beach volleyball turned into air volleyball dodgeball. It was afternoon when Sugu went to the beach and he missed a good show. Rodney was seen sitting under the big parasol, hugging her knees. He walked over and heard her murmuring to herself, Sister is so cute, so great, it's like a kiss. It's very cute. Sugu looked around and found Nelson on the beach, and saw her wearing a light blue bikini with a hem. But to him, Rodney next to Nelson is cuter. Because her hair is relatively long, it is tied into two buns. It can be said that the cuteness level is 99 points, only a little worse than Xiaozai. Rodney was startled. She looked up and found Sugu, her admiral. On the one hand, she was heard talking to herself. On the other hand, she was a little shy in a swimsuit. She hugged her chest. She has a well-proportioned figure, strong body, and slender thighs. She can be said to be the person with the best figure in the town. And beautiful, handsome, and heroic. Sugu didn't know how to answer Rodney. He paused and just said, You are really a sister. It was rare that Rodney didn't deny it. Her eyes were shining brightly. There is no way, my sister is so outstanding. Sugu suddenly became funny. I remembered that Nelson said, didn't you used to be an English teacher in high school? You were obviously not married, but you pretended to be married. You said Xiaoluo was your daughter and your husband worked in the police station. Tisk tisk tisk, you actually secretly called your sister your husband. That's amazing. If your colleague hadn't gone to the police station to do something, she wouldn't have known you actually said that. Rodney said quietly, Admiral, have you seen my triple 16-inch cannon? Sugu quickly raised his hands. If you have something to say, please speak it out. What are you so afraid of, Admiral? Rodney was a little dissatisfied. He was so gentle, yet he was so afraid. Sugu laughed again. Nelson also said that you asked your principal for leave before, but he didn't approve it, and then you crushed his enamel cup in excitement. From now on, no matter how you ask for leave, no matter how many days you ask for leave, you will never been turned down. No way, Rodney said with a rather weak defense. Why did my sister tell you everything? I'm going to settle the score with her. With a flash of inspiration, Sugu said, you can also reveal Nelson's embarrassing story to me. Rodney thought about it carefully, nodded, and said, didn't you give your sister a set of clothes before? The name is Victory. Let me tell you. One time I went out and came home early and saw her quietly wearing that set of clothes, standing in front of the mirror with a cane, and then, anyway, he just showed off various movements, some of which were very average. While speaking English, England hopes that everyone can do your duty faithfully. Even if it lasts for a full hour, she won't feel tired. Finding a problem, Sugu said, so she was posing in the room for an hour. You just hid outside without making a sound and watched her secretly for an hour. Rodney looked left and right, and she laughed dryly and did not answer. Admiral, you must have never seen my sister wearing a cheongsam. She wore an amber high-cut cheongsam and held a fan. She looked like a martial artist, but also like a martial artist. It's the same as a monk. If you want to see it, just tell her. If you don't tell her, she will never wear it. You look at her like she doesn't care about anything, but she is actually quite shy. Then I want to take a look at Nelson's cheongsam. Sugu nodded. Rodney continued, also, my sister has many admirers in the police station. They are not men, they are all girls. 2 female police officers follow her every day, which can be said to be the personal guard. She went wherever they go, they go. No matter what my sister says, they will absolutely carry out the order. They still cried when my sister resigned, but it was miserable. Rodney said with a smile and talked for a long time. Sugu saw Nelson walking over, but he pretended not to see it. Lo, Germany, N.I. Nelson stood behind Rodney. She heard her sister say a lot and couldn't help but speak, word by word. Sister, who, I'm looking for Xiaolugo to play with. Rodney smiled awkwardly and ran away. Quite unruly, Sugu said, Nelson, Rodney said a lot of embarrassing things about you. I know. Aren't you going to fight back? After all, Nelson was quite perceptive after having been a police officer for so long. She said, Admiral, look at your smiling face. Well, forget it, I don't mind telling you more about Rodney. Time passed quickly, it got dark quickly, and it was dinner time. That evening, the town government held a seaside barbecue party. A few days later, Sugu got a piece of information.